You gents ready?
Yes.
No. I gotta look at this.
This mother.
Oh, boo. This fuck.
What's going on, y'all? You're tuning in to the highest rated, most listened to podcast to ever grace the airwaves, and you're a better person for listening.
Where'd you get
to
that?
us.
Fucking Halloween.
All right,
I knew
maybe
we were
not.
so
but you're
fucking
really gonna enjoy
smiley
it
for. I
anyway.
knew something
this
was
is
coming.
Made to Motivate podcast,
This
and we'll be
fuck.
talking social media hot topics, pop culture news, the greatest in movies and music.
Spider-Man
and
was
all
here.
things
What a
sports.
letdown.
Make sure you're following us on
Womp
social
womp.
media at Made to Motivate
I
podcast
got
on
a
Facebook,
rock.
Instagram,
Bro,
and
that
Twitter.
shit's funny
And you
as
can watch the
fuck.
show on our YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. And with that
All
being
that
said,
hype.
let's get this show started.
Money shot.
This fucking guy. Chris came down here. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Made to Motivate podcast. I'm getting fucking. I don't even know what this is.
That shit stinks bad.
Where'd that other one
Money
go?
shot.
Behind you.
It's on your pillow. Pillow. Right up top.
Looks like you jerked off
Right.
an elephant.
Oh, right there.
Oh God.
Oh, it's gooey.
So
A
freaking Chris
long-
shows up today. Giggly as all hell. Giant grin on his face. Won't tell me and Dan why. And then, as you see, this fucker's got a little secret stash of silly string in here. Pre-ejaculates all over himself. Doesn't make it to either me or Dan.
I bought that right before Halloween, and I used a bottle up already, and I had 2 others left. I'm like, fuck it, I'll bring it to the studio tonight.
I wish it would have went off.
I fucking couldn't even go out of the goddamn bottle.
So anyhow, Made to Motivate podcast. This is season 5. It's episode 10. This is your host. My name is Ryan Weiss. I'm joined as always by Christopher, the Film Freak Kessinger.
Frick. I like it. I like how you're making it different every week, too.
You gotta change it up.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
And Daniel, the shoe guy, Sandmann with 2
Hey.
ends.
2 ends. What's going on?
What's going on, gents? We're back here for another episode. Dan is 5 weeks in a row. We're on a roll here with
Catching up to Jesse.
us. Haven't missed any shows. If you do the YouTube, or if you don't do the YouTube, check it out.
You'll get this episode in 1 year.
Fuck off. I've uploaded 7 new episodes this week so far. I'm trying to catch up. Look, you know what? Fuck that. Fuck faces.
I was looking
All
at
you
him.
have to do each week is show up for an hour
It's
and then
true.
go home.
My job's so fucking easy.
I have to do everything else.
When is it an
So,
hour?
Well, whatever.
When is it?
I'm trying to get us caught up. So a lot of new episodes on there. We just hit 100 subscribers on YouTube, which I know is nothing, but to us it's pretty cool. 100 people subscribe to the show.
Thank you.
Hey, you're getting closer to that button.
Yep. So thank you for that. Outside of that, gentlemen, what's new? What's hot? What's exciting? What's going on since the last show?
What's the haps?
What's the haps, Chris? What's the haps?
Oh, man, I went concert ticket buying last night. Fucking spent my next paycheck pretty much.
You want to see Billie Eilish?
No,
Wow.
I'm going to leave that to you.
Damn it.
I got Tears for Fears and Garbage.
Cheers for Fears.
Yeah.
Wow.
Always like one of my favorite 80s bands. Always wanted to see them. So I'm going to see them May 21st at Blossom.
Nice.
If you're there, come on out and say hi.
Yeah.
Got Tool floor seats for Tool, seeing them for the 5th time live, my favorite band. Not a bad price too. $216 after fees and all that for the floor. I'll take it.
Nice.
And then I'm looking to get AEW tickets, which is Wrestling League on
Yeah.
Friday. I want to get floor seats for that too. And it's looking like they're going to be about $90, which is fucking awesome.
They're coming to Cleveland?
Yeah.
When's that?
The Gund Arena.
Yeah, January. That's what I call it. January 26th.
Dude, that's dope.
Yeah.
I've only been to one real wrestling. I went to WrestleMania Monday Night Raw.
Oh, cool.
Or not WrestleMania. I went to Monday Night Raw.
Do you remember what year?
90.
I was there.
7 or 8.
I was there.
Yeah, dude.
Yep.
Good time.
Yep.
That's the only time I've been though. It was super fun.
Mhm.
AEW is getting pretty big though. I think that would be cool to go to.
I think honestly, in my heart, AEW is better right
It's
now.
getting up there.
They're
Yeah.
a far better product. It's got a couple of my favorite wrestlers on there. We saw them 2 years ago before COVID really broke. It was like the month before it broke, and I remember we went and saw them. We got floor seats, but we were in the back, and it was amazing. It was a great night.
Nice.
So looking
Very
forward
cool.
to it.
So lots of concerts.
NWO coming back.
Dude, they were the best. NWO.
There, I heard that
Sting.
there's a chance that there could be an NWO.
Well,
Who's going to run
reappearance.
it?
Sting's at least an AEW, so you got that
Yeah.
at least.
Hogan's so old though. Kevin
Yeah.
Nash.
Hogan's not looking good
old.
too. I don't know if you've seen him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Post surgery,
Still leathery.
he lost like 40 pounds.
Yeah. His son's in AEW, isn't he? Or is he in WWE?
Nick,
His son made an appearance on something wrestling, didn't he?
I think you're thinking
Hogan's son.
not Nick. You know,
No?
he's not in any. He's not associated with wrestling.
I thought I was watching something the other day and I saw that it was Hogan's son. I don't know. I'm a little behind.
There's Kiera Hogan, but
Yeah, it was definitely son.
Hmm.
Daniel, new, what's popping? What's the haps?
The Haps traveled this past weekend.
Where'd
for
you go?
Thanksgiving. Went to Chicago.
Oh yeah, you avoided your family. We remember that.
made some poor guy work.
Dude, it was hard to get a reservation for.
Yeah.
It's not because they weren't serving it. It's because places were booked up out
Yeah.
there
Holidays.
Thursday night. So had a pretty awesome Thanksgiving feast at the Lure, a fish bar
Hmm.
up there. It was kind of pricey, but
I was just about to ask, pricey
it was $70
looked
for
good.
the meal.
each.
Well, she didn't get Alicia didn't get the Thanksgiving meal. She got a steak
Okay.
and mashed potatoes, but I got turkey, cranberry sauce, and we talked last week about the cranberry sauce. And I said I don't usually touch it. Like
Yeah.
I'll taste it, but not a big fan. Well, this shit was amazing.
Mhm.
Tastes like applesauce, like cinnamon applesauce.
Slices or mashed?
It was whole cranberries,
Mm.
just in a glaze and it was an elevated Thanksgiving meal.
Fancy.
Was it vanilla scented sweet potatoes with marshmallows on top? It was toasted,
Ooh.
and Brussels sprouts and pancetta.
Wow. I'm gonna take
Oh,
that
it's-
Brussels sprouts and shove them.
It's good. I had a cauliflower and broccoli, or a cauliflower and garlic soup. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And then I got the wine pairing for each course.
Mm.
That was $35.
Chris, we need to quit our job. Dan quit his job.
Speaking
He's
of-
going first class on vacations, high roller dinners, going to Chicago.
I'll be honest. The 3 months that I was unemployed in 2018 were the happiest times of my life.
Lord.
Dude, this was funny because the trip out there, like before we left, American Airlines sends us this thing. Do you want to upgrade to first class for $47?
I would do it.
And I'm sitting there like, well, when we get there, our luggage is $30 per person. 17 more dollars. Like we got to pay that $30 regardless.
Yeah.
17 more dollars will put us in first class, board first, get our luggage first, get more room, and two large pieces of luggage to check.
It's not a long flight, but like I would still. That's not a
Yeah,
bad
I'm like,
price for me.
it's $17 more. I'm like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So I flew first class out there.
Mm.
And then when we got there, I asked if our room, because Hilton offered up a couple options that I could choose for an upgrade.
Yeah.
And I selected a couple, but when I got there, they're like, well, no, it didn't get upgraded. I'm like, well,
The fuck it didn't.
is there something available? Because if they didn't have the availability,
Mm-hmm.
they would just charge. The room was the same price. If the upgrade was available, then I'd pay that.
Yeah.
So they said they didn't have anything, and they're like, well, we do have 10th floor, which is the highest level there, besides the penthouse, which is just meeting rooms,
Mm-hmm.
and facing Michigan Avenue. I'm like, well, those are the two ones that I asked for.
Right.
Like those were the two choices that
question
I
you
had
asked.
picked.
So what's the problem? Yeah.
So they're like, well, we have it available and the room's ready right now. You want to head on up? I'm like, yeah. So it's an executive suite.
Ooh.
So I quit my job. I fly first class and I stay in an executive suite.
Put it
So-
in my notice tomorrow.
Do it up.
So start
You don't need to
balling.
work.
Start
We
falling
fucked
out.
up bad.
So yeah, Chicago was awesome. And then
Did you go to the bean? Did you flick the bean?
we went. I didn't flick it. No,
It's
we
the
went. We
bean.
went to it. We took pictures of the bean.
It's the bean.
It's the
Big silver bean
what's-
thing. that everyone takes a
Oh,
picture
the
of?
art thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's in Chicago.
It's called the bean.
what's the actual term?
The bean.
No, it's not.
That's what- I thought it was called the bean.
That's what everybody.
You look
nicknamed
at it, it's like got your reflection or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, we walked down to that. All we did was walk and eat.
Yeah. Did
That
you go
was-
to the Lincoln Park Zoo?
No,
It's free. You
was-
should have went to the
it was
Lincoln Park
cold.
Zoo.
Just
Okay.
sucks because Chester's not there.
Aw. Mom.
That was terrible. Aw. That made me sad.
It was a good time. I thought Black Friday was going to be a little crazy in
Yeah.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Dude, everyone said it was chill everywhere.
It was. So the thing that I actually liked is downtown Chicago doesn't start getting jumping until like 11 o'clock noon. Like most places you're thinking 7, 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
Stores are open. People are
hangovers.
going.
Yeah.
Chicago, they don't open and then they close at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, like the stores.
Mm.
So it's 8 hours or less workday.
That thin window. Yep.
Holy, I'd love that.
Yeah.
Working in retail for 20 some years. I'd love that.
I always said I want a 4-day work week. I'll work extra hours. I'll do 10-hour days.
Me too.
If I get Friday or Monday off.
Yeah, me too.
But I've never been to New York, but going to Chicago and looking around, like walking down the streets and just looking up and continuously having to look up to see how tall these buildings are. Like the architecture in Chicago is amazing.
Yeah. Well,
And just how big that city is, how massive.
and just its historical significance too, like the riots, how much got torn down there.
Compare that to Cleveland. Cleveland is like
Cleveland sucks.
a joke.
Yeah.
There's nothing. It was amazing. I love it. I'll go visit. I'll never live in Chicago, but I'll go visit Chicago as often as I can. Like I like going there.
We got some news later that we'll be going back to Chicago, but for now, Ryan, what's going on with you?
Nothing new and exciting on this end. I didn't go to Chicago. I didn't quit my job.
How was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was fine. The usual. Hung out with the parents. Went really fast for some reason this year. I felt like that day was just here and
Nephew's
gone.
first Thanksgiving?
Daniel, my little brother, he was been a guest on the show. It was Holden, his son's first Thanksgiving. That was cool.
One of my favorite episodes.
He had ground up pulverized turkey. I'm like, that just sounds awful.
Bet it was amazing.
No, it looked so gross, bro. Just like turkey, the consistency of milk.
Ooh.
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, because they can't chew really. They got to have something like, it's got to just be smooth. It was nasty. It looked nasty.
We just chew it up and then
Liquid turkey. What?
Ew.
baby bird it.
We didn't have any ham, so honestly, I was really disappointed.
I gotta stop doing that with the microphone in my.
Yeah, you do.
You didn't cut the camera over here, did you?
How about licorice pizza? Did you have any licorice pizza?
I didn't have any licorice pizza. I didn't have any. Man, I feel like this last week's been super boring. Yeah, let's just start. Let's start a segment. I didn't do anything fun, exciting. So.
You got to see one of our co-hosts this weekend.
Oh, I did. I got to see Jesse.
Man, it must not have been too memorable.
When was that?
Sunday.
What
Sunday. Sunday was that? That was Sunday.
Yeah,
was that the Steelers game?
Sunday.
Yeah, I saw Jesse for the first time in what?
2 months.
2 or 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, since first time I saw Jesse
years.
since he had his daughter. So that was cool. Yeah, we hung out and watched the game. It was an awful game to choose to go and watch with Jesse because, as we'll talk about here soon, it was just an awful football Sunday, awful football weekend.
Yeah,
honestly. So
that's why I had enough.
Yeah, but I saw Jesse. That was cool. Got to hang out with my buddy Marv. He is the best bartender in the area. He works at Jersey Sports Bar.
Marv is great
in Green.
That's Marv.
Go say hi to Marv. Tell him the podcast sent you. He'll hook you up with a Marvin drink. What are you guys excited about? What are we talking about first?
Hollywood's going to jerk the curtain.
We're jerking it off with Hollywood.
Can I get your opinion on a pair of shoes real quick?
You can.
I brought these.
What segment is that for?
It's no segment.
Okay,
it's just a pair of shoes, but
Dan got some shoes.
Got them delivered the other
I like
day.
that box. I like how it slides instead of opens.
Slide it in. What do you got in that box?
I mean, maybe this could be in sports because I don't want to do any crazy unboxing, but
I can see one thing I don't like about them.
The colors.
Nope.
The heel.
Yeah.
the heel.
Hate that fucking heel.
I like those. I saw the Sakai lows. I almost tried to go for them. I was going to ask you if you were going to try and get them.
I was laying in bed in Chicago in the hotel room, and I got a notice that these things were restocked at a boutique out in Germany. So
That's
I
close to
bought
Chicago.
this on Friday online on Friday.
Yeah.
And I got it from Germany through customs yesterday.
Jeez.
Tom Hanks would be very impressed with that.
God. I'm still waiting on one of my gifts.
Steelers Sunday.
I like them. I think they're dope.
Where?
Yeah, I like them a lot. The heel is a little excessive.
So,
but I think the silhouette is cool.
So the Sakai, this collaboration, they take like two, I forget, vapor or waffles
Mm-hmm.
from like the 70s, 60s, 70s, one of Nike's early pairs.
Okay.
And they combined it with another, but they wanted to keep similar, like stacked type aesthetic.
I like it.
So you're not taking. So that's why there's two. It looks like there's two heels, two midsoles, because there really is two midsoles.
It just looks like they put like one of like a sandal in the middle of these two shoes, like they fucking sandwiched it in there.
So you got two laces, you got two tongues, you got two swooshes, you got two
I like two
lace,
Heyo.
two mud guards. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
that's just two
I'd wear 'em
heel,
for the
heel
game.
counters.
I like them.
I got another pair that's like blue and purple. I got two of them. And then before Thanksgiving, I ordered another pair of shoes that's coming from Pittsburgh. I still haven't. I just got shipping notifications today.
Mhm.
I'll get it Friday.
Wow.
24th is when I ordered it.
I think they're dope. I dig them.
Guys are lucky you can even go into a store and fucking get shoes. I can't.
Yeah, no shit. What do you got? Size 15?
16.
Dang, tiny feet. You know what they say about guys with big shoes?
Big socks?
Yeah. Big toenails.
Big toenails. All right. Let's
Better
do,
base.
Yeah, they're good shoes. I say keep them.
Keep them.
Not that you would sell them anyways, because you
Yeah.
don't sell them. So, Hollywood Report. Did you check your beer?
My God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm! Wait. Everybody calm down! Two Steve, assemble!
Hollywood Report with Christopher Kessinger.
That's me.
That's you. What's
So,
going on?
so no matter what section of the show that we always discuss, it always tends to lead back to America in one way or another. And, you know, sometimes that's in a positive light, sometimes that's in a negative light. But the one thing I think that everybody can agree on, regardless of your feelings for our country, is that we have it a lot better than certain other countries do. One such country is North Korea. And I'm going to tell you why. Squid Game, the recent Netflix TV show that has swept the nation up in a frenzy. You know, the number one TV show on there, I think, for at least 3 weeks now. You know, it's everywhere. I have not gotten to finish it yet, but I've heard great things about it. First 2 episodes I watched were solid. I got to get back onto it. But why this show is coming under fire this week is because in North Korea, a student was caught smuggling this TV series on a USB hard drive into his school, and he passed it off to 7 other students. So now this is the part where you go, this has to be fake. This kid is being executed. He's being sentenced to death as a result of smuggling this into the country. North Korea has very strict rules when it comes to this censorship, to this kind of ordeal. And obviously this doesn't paint their country in the best light, this TV show. So they are executing the student, and they are currently looking for the other 7 students. They said incarceration is probably what's going to happen. Some of them for life, some of them for as much as 40 years.
That is insane that you can execute a child in that country and that is okay.
So I when I first heard this, like I said, my reaction was it's got to be fake.
Right.
I know it's North Korea, but like it's got to be fake. Maybe they hit the kid or do something like that to him, but like nothing to that extent. And then I dug deeper and deeper, and I was getting these real, you know, news websites, you know, like AP reported on it, Reuters reported on it, CNN reported on it, all confirming the same thing.
I'm curious how they even found out, because you know Korea doesn't really talk about anything.
Well, I mean,
that's wild.
They can
how they found out that the kid smuggled it, or
how media outside of North Korea has found out about him going to be executed, because you know they're so quiet about
leaks, about
anything like that happening. That's insane, bro.
Yeah. So
they just want everybody to know how crazy they are.
Yeah,
like that leadership.
So that's why I say, like, what's interesting is, like, you know, like we have the freedom of, we can go on to Netflix and we can watch literally anything that we want, whether that be as violent as we want, whether that be as sappy as we want, whether that be as crappy as we want. We can watch anything under that umbrella, and there's no consequences for it whatsoever except wasted time.
Yeah, Tiger King.
As Ryan and I found out. So yeah, it's just, to me, it's like, it's just another example of, as bad as you think you have it here, it can always be a lot worse somewhere else.
I mean, that's to the extreme.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know North Korea is crazy, but that's wild.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if someone steps up and tries to
save him,
stop that. Like, I mean, if we truly know that here in the US, I'd be shocked if we didn't try and like get involved.
That's
it's a child.
Somebody's going to call out LeBron. Like, LeBron, you need to get over to North Korea and get this kid out of there.
Someone already actually did call him out for something here recently.
Oh, really?
That's wild, bro. That's sad. I mean, if that truly happens, that's awful. Like, I mean, to be put to death for something that simple, that mediocre.
And they haven't released the student's identity, obviously, but they said 16 years old.
Jeez.
Bro, that's awful.
Yeah. So your life's over for watching a TV
And who
show.
I mean, someone can actually kill this kid.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah. And more times than not over there, North Korea's method of execution is what do they call
firing
it?
squad.
Firing line. Yeah. Yeah.
Bro, what the
So,
fuck?
which is ironically enough, one of the means of death in
Squid
the
Game.
Squid Game. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
They should just make him compete in Squid Game. See if he makes it through. And then he'd be safe.
Would you compete in it?
If it was I've had to die or not, yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying
saying that you should make him compete, and if he makes it through, he's safe. And if not, well,
So where was the film filmed?
this was a Korean film.
it's Korean film, but I don't know where it was filmed.
like actually
I think
made,
I
yeah.
think
Yeah.
I think
know
it's like
Korean,
a
but-
Japanese production or something like that.
Well,
Because it's in their native tongue. It's not
Right.
American or English.
right. That's why I was wondering.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
yeah, it's messed up.
it's bad. It's
Yeah.
real sad.
But would you be in Squid Game if you were just
Oh, not for shits and giggles.
if they said what was the prize? $1 million? What was it 10 million?
It was the pool of everyone that died. Every time someone died,
All right.
It was
It
it was
added,
hundreds
like-
of millions.
yeah, it was like every time someone died, it added like $500,000 to the pot.
So
And
you
there
wouldn't do
was
it?
100 some people. No,
If I were in it, that
No.
number is only going to go up like $10,000. So it's not
Yeah.
like worth it to me.
I mean you got to think because I mean you haven't finished it yet. But when they put on the premise of the show,
I know what happens.
you think that
Oh shit, I forgot it.
anybody can win,
Yeah.
but you don't realize that it's only one winner until
Yeah.
the further it goes on. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I'm
Right.
not competing with 100 some people and fucking gonna kill all these people. No, I wouldn't do it. Not knowing you
No.
can, not knowing it's death. If it was just like elimination or something, sure, but no,
You become a person in that situation. You become a person that
you aren't.
you don't
Yeah.
want to be. You
Yeah.
know, like
Would you do it, Chris?
it depends how much money it is.
Haley Steinfeld. is your
She's the prize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Let's go.
You'd risk death for
Oh.
it?
Yeah.
Jeez, that's
wouldn't.
commitment.
I would.
you'd kill people for it.
Fuck yeah, I would.
As long as it's not a dog, he doesn't care.
Yeah, not an animal. I don't care. Let's transition into tribute news here for a second. Virgil Abloh, is that how you say it?
Virgil Abloh.
Virgil Abloh.
I wanted you guys to kind of take the reins on this one. All I know about this guy is obviously he recently passed away this week, and he is an artist of the community. Can you guys kind of give us a run through of who he is and what he does?
Yeah, for sure. Dan knows a lot. I pulled up some just stats about him, just kind of accolades that talk about his life and where he kind of stood in the community and stuff like that. But yeah, as you mentioned, artist, fashion icon, huge in the shoe industry.
Yeah.
Dan has a lot of his stuff.
He started as like a visual production for Kanye. Like
Oh,
that's where he got his name. Like he commingled with Kanye and helped make his music videos and
so video
artwork.
production.
and
Creative
like
director.
set creative director, set director, and everything. And from that, he moved into fashion, and art was he had some art exhibits.
Okay.
And it's really just like breaking down the obvious.
Yeah.
Everything you see, like it's so simplistic. What the world is, we just make so much more of everything we look at.
Mhm.
Like it's really so basic, and that's what his art kind of does. It breaks down to that fine line of we're all pretty much the same. And then he got into with Nike,
Mhm.
designed the 10 collection, which just did so much for design and innovation with sneakers. You don't see the big companies tearing apart their shoes and putting them back together with such a kind of a breakdown in materials like he did. So he had a totally different vision for that line, and it skyrocketed. Did really well.
So what did he pass of?
Yeah, he had been battling cancer since 2019. A pretty aggressive form of cancer.
Heart,
Um,
cardio,
yeah.
endo,
Oh, that's bad,
endo,
yeah.
my
and he continued to serve on projects and build his brand and work behind the scenes, much like Chadwick Boseman, where no one really knew. It was kind of close-knit circle.
Yep.
He didn't want to show it, and 41 years old, sadly he passed away. Dan mentioned a lot of the stuff, but
sorry, I took your thunder.
no, you're good. Dan, I mean, I know it. I have a high respect and regard for the man, but I don't have as much. I don't own any of his stuff. Unfortunately, it's outside of my price range of things to buy. But I respect what
Especially
he
now,
does
it's crazy.
and his position in the industry. But yeah, so he was 41. As Dan mentioned, he worked with Kanye. So it all started for him in 2009. He was a what do you call it? He was an intern at Fendi, and he was in the same class that Kanye was in at Fendi. They were both there interning in like fashion, and that's where they kind of met. They started to work together. He was the art director on the Jay-Z and Kanye album "Watch the Throne."
Oh, cool.
Which got nominated for like an Oscar or Grammy for like best art direction for an album release. So he kind of broke into that scene, and then him and Kanye worked together and collaborated on launching his brand Off-White, which he launched 2013, I believe it was.
Yeah, I think it was 2013.
I mean, he was in Time's top 100 most influential people in 2018.
Wow.
It's not a name that I don't think a lot of people like know, but I'm sure you've seen his work. I mean, he worked with Louis Vuitton. He got named the most influential like fashion icon, surpassing Gucci.
Wow.
For his works, the body of work that he did and everything. And as Dan mentioned, like the 10 is what they called it. He had a partnership in 2017 with Nike where they launched this line called the 10, and he redesigned some of Nike's most iconic footwear and did his own thing. And his art is, like Dan said, very simple, but then some of it is very complex in a different manner. He came under a lot of fire for like copyright stuff or for like plagiarism, because his designs, he's been noted as saying that he only never changed 3% of the original design.
Okay.
He took the original design and then he put his small twist on it and then relaunched it as like a new product.
I was going to ask you, is that with color or is that with like the shape and design of the shoe itself?
A little of everything, like, okay, so for shoes, I mean, it's your basic silhouette. Okay. Like the top three that I have there, the purple, teal, and like red one. So he did that shoe. Same main concept as that on his version, but he added some different like elements. But when you look at it, it's the Jordan 5, but you also see the Off-White brand.
So the familiarity is there. He just channels more of a stylish vibe to go with it.
He just had a very unique creative style that transcended people that really, I mean, it's his when you see it, but you also see the original item, but that's what was kind of iconic about it, is like he's taking these great designs and then elevating it to a level that kind of draws the attention of someone that wouldn't necessarily buy the original product, maybe, like he worked within Louis Vuitton. He was the first African-American
artistic director for the men's line in Louis Vuitton, for Louis Vuitton.
Ever. Wow. Which is huge. I mean, any kind of like
breaking barriers with that alone, just knowing
culture.
that. So the thing with Virgil is, and I think Ryan's like close to getting what I was going to say. He's like mixing streetwear with luxury brand. Like he was one of the forefathers of combining that, and by taking his Off-White, which is very street design, basic construct. You look at an Off-White belt, and it's like it almost looks like caution tape with like the Off-White designs to it. It's very rugged, and for him to take that and go over to Louis Vuitton and pull some of that vision into the luxury side, that was a barrier that was huge to break, to now
open
take
a lot of doors.
Streetwear, street fashion, which is predominantly African-American based. Like that's the idea behind it. It's African-Americans designed it, and he's taken that to the luxury side,
bringing it to a whole new audience.
New audience, more respect. He's just very influential to more than just the African-American community. I mean, he's, like Ryan said, transcended design and apparel and stuff. It's
in a very short period of time.
Very short period of time. It's just like he went 0 to 100 real fast. And
I mean, I think this is 10 years really.
And he's been battling this. disease had been
2.5,
battling for
3
2.5, 3 years.
So you said he kept it mostly under wraps. When did you guys find out that he had the?
When he passed
when
away.
he passed
Oh
away.
wow! So this was a complete shock for you guys.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I was.
Wow.
No
I
one
was
knew.
at-
It was same as Boseman. No one knew he was sick,
Uh-huh.
and then he passed away, and you found out he was sick.
Wow.
I was
mean, it's
literally in a
awful.
Louis Vuitton store the day before he passed away,
Mhm.
like
Really
in
sad.
Chicago, and I got that news. I'm like, holy, like I couldn't believe it.
Well, because I figure, you said cancer, and I figure I'm like, well, his fans probably knew for at least a year or something
Oh.
like that, so they were bracing themselves for something. Wow, for that to be a surprise, just like the Boseman thing, yeah, it's even bigger of a shock and an impact. Almost denying it that this could even happen to a guy so young. How old? was it?
41.
41.
41's
Wow.
awful, man. And it's I mean, outside of the loss of him, it's just a huge loss to the industry. I mean, there's things he's created that people look forward to that you'll never see again,
Yeah.
because he's not
Right.
going to be here to design them. I mean, everyone always looks. I mean, for me, my biggest tie to him is his shoes. Me and Dan both have a huge love for shoes, and I don't do Louis Vuitton or anything like that, but I really appreciate what he brings to the shoe industry, and knowing there's not going to be any big hot launch releases of an off-white collab shoe anymore. It's just like, what the fuck, man?
Right? Like who picks up the mantle?
No one.
Then that's a big
Yeah.
shadow.
No one can. I mean, he really
His
is
mind, his
iconic.
breakdown.
Yeah.
So when I was in Chicago 2 years ago, he had a setup at an installation
Yeah, art installation.
at the MCA in Chicago, and that was one thing I went to Chicago to see. And
Yep.
took pictures, walked through it, bought some gear, bought some postcards that I framed up and hung up in my sneaker room. So I basically designed that room around his influence.
Oh wow.
I bought a clock from IKEA. He had a collaboration with IKEA, and this kind of makes me wonder, like, when he developed this or made this design on this clock? So it's an all white clock. There's no numbers. It just says temporary across the front with quotations.
Wow.
So I'm wondering if he designed this knowing that he was sick and it probably wasn't going to go well.
Yeah.
Like time is temporary.
Yeah.
Take advantage of all the time that you have on this planet.
Yeah.
And so now that clock has even more meaning to me.
Wow.
And that's like the centerpiece to my room.
yeah.
But yeah, it was.
Well, and it sounds like, and not to get topical, but let's state the obvious here. You're two white guys from Northeast Ohio. So for like a black artist to have that kind of reach and that kind of grasp, of the culture and of that essence, like it sounds like he reached, a world.
It transcended
influence.
race and gender and anything like that. Like
Yeah.
his art was just appreciated on a very large scale.
Mm.
And because of all the accolades he has, because of the different companies that he worked with, that kind of allowed him to touch so many lives. I mean, you got Louis Vuitton. He took over creative director for Donda for Kanye.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, you've got that a high African-American community. Then you're looking at Louis Vuitton, which is a high-end fashion, probably primary Caucasian fashion line. And then you get into shoes with Nike. He did furniture with IKEA. I mean, his name was on so many different levels of merchandise that you can be involved in so many different aspects of people's lives that you would not necessarily think of. So I think that's where his name is so big. He wasn't just like a streetwear, designer. I mean, he was involved in so much. The dude had a degree in architecture. Like he was going to school to be an architect. And then there was someone within the area he was studying who had some property there that also was an artist. And that's kind of how he broke into the love of art, and then completely derailed what he was going to school for, and got it, broke into fashion and everything like that. So it's crazy to see these types of things and how they influence people's lives. And you think about, I mean, his age and the level in which his life that he reached, and then you have something like cancer that just, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're at in life. 41 years old, and that's it, man. And there's nothing you can do about it. It's just awful to think about.
As Dan says, the clock stops.
So sad. Very, very sad.
And one last thing before we move on, Ryan did an awesome tribute to Virgil. Ryan does these illustrations of these famous pop culture figures, both fictional and non-fictional. And he did a tribute to Virgil Abloh, and you guys should definitely check it out. I think it's on the Made to Motivate Facebook page.
It's on, yeah. I mean, on here I have my stuff tagged. I think you on my Facebook, on my Instagram. You can go and see it. I try and do those for people that I think have had some sort of impact. I did one with Aubrey and George Floyd, and I did a Chadwick Boseman one. And most of the time they're just figures I enjoy. I do a lot of comic book people and things like that. But when it's someone like that where really that there was an influence or you feel connected to, I as soon as I heard that news, I was like, I have to do one.
I think those are the more important ones too. Not to put your other ones on a lower pedestal, but like somebody like Virgil Abloh, as you guys detailed painted out today, this guy had a huge impact both on your lives and on the lives of millions of others.
Yeah, it was it hurt. I mean, finding that out in Chicago too, where like I became
in Illinois
aware of his full stretch of artistic ability, like going to that art installation and seeing the breakdown. And it wasn't just shoes. Like he had
you were in Chicago when he passed away, right?
Yeah,
he passed away in Chicago.
Wow, that's odd.
So he was.
That's odd for you.
In Chicago when he passed away.
Yeah, I think I was reading a tweet that had just come across on my phone, and then my buddy that he lives in Michigan, he texted me, Abloh just passed. And I'm like so immediately. Awful, I'm like, are you serious? Like this can't be real. Almost the same reaction when Kobe. And this one, like, I don't get real emotional. When like celebrities, but this similar to the Kobe when he passed away, like it hit me pretty good because again, I appreciated his artwork and his design.
Yeah, it's different when you have a connection to it. Like him, you have tangible items of his that he's created. It's not just like someone you watch on TV and you're like, oh yeah, okay, that actor passed away.
Yeah,
I mean, when you have that close of a connection and you've built this room in your home around him, that's just it. There's a different connection there. People are like, oh, it's a celebrity, you don't know them, it doesn't really matter. Well,
now
I don't
get
that's not fair. Yeah,
I don't get like Ryan said, like his like the sneaker collaborations and design work that he impacted our lives with.
Yeah,
we're not going to see those anymore.
Yeah,
like I'm happy that Louis Vuitton put on his spring summer line. His designs, they down in Miami yesterday, they did a live fashion show revealing his spring summer Louis Vuitton line.
What's essentially the last of his line, Yeah.
Sad, and it was Virgil was here, was like he and that people, they were buying billboards down in Miami, like on boats and just throughout the city that said Virgil was here, or what was the other one that I saw? I can't remember what it was, but his was like quotations. Like that was his thing, was quotations.
His signature was quotations. He did Justin Bieber's wife's wedding gown.
Oh, okay.
He designed it, and on her veil, he did the Virgil Abloh off-white. His trademark was like dance of the quotations, and it said on her veil, "Till death do us part." In like his style of quotations or whatever.
So this guy had such a huge grasp of like pop culture and just the world, and
absolutely,
the things he channeled, it just seems very ahead of their time by the way you guys describe it. It's crazy because like I saw it. What day was it? Was it Saturday that he passed away? You guys said
Sunday.
Well,
it could have been.
The news
Sunday.
came out. I think it was on Sunday.
It came out Sunday.
I thought I saw Saturday that like a bunch of people, like in addition to you guys posting Saturday about it, I saw probably 5 or 6 other people that posted about it, and I was like, who is this guy? Like, I don't know, obviously I don't know anything about style, ignore this awesome jersey, but no, I mean, like, I don't know anything about him, so like he was a very important figure, and after hearing you guys, I'd have to agree. I mean, this is a big loss, not only for Black culture but for the world too. So yeah, he will be missed. Transitioning on, I added one last thing here to Hollywood Report that I wanted to touch on real quick. I found it funny that I read about it just as I was leaving the house today. So Dan was recently in Chicago this week. documented that a couple of times already on this show, but let's talk a little bit more about Chicago and specifically Winnetka, which is a suburb of Chicago. To anybody who knows Winnetka, that is not only where Uncle Buck was filmed, that is where the greatest Christmas movie of all time, Home Alone, was filmed.
Yeah, buddy.
So the big deal with this is Home Alone, the owner of the house today, of the Home Alone house itself, said that for one night only on December 12th, it will become a Airbnb.
What?
And you can stay in the McAllister's home for $25.
It's already got to be booked though, right?
It is already sold out. There was 8 rooms,
Wow.
8 rooms, and there was, I believe, 12 beds. So
This is a guy that lives there full time now.
Yes.
And he's gonna rent his house out for one night.
I mean, Blockbuster did this in Oregon,
weird,
you know,
man.
in Bend, Oregon.
Yeah, but it's like at a store. This guy actually lives here.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, but cool.
Yeah, I was going to go visit it, but it was like 40 minutes away from where we were.
Winnetka.
Have you been there, Chris?
No, and I've always wanted to. But the thing is, so here's the thing. To add a sour note to this, to anybody who's signed up for this and actually had the luck of getting in and staying the night here,
Yeah.
all the interior shots were done on a soundstage. So like
Right.
nothing you see inside is what's inside of that McAllister
It's just
home.
the outside.
It's the outside. Yeah, it's everything on the outside. So like, I mean, unless you're staying outside, I guess I don't get the magic of it all.
right. You don't get to stay in like Kevin or Buzz's room or anything.
No, like I'm like, I would like to go visit it and maybe take a picture out in front of it and all that, just because it's my favorite Christmas movie of all time.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think I would actually want to stay inside of it. It's a soundstage, and that soundstage is long gone.
Does the stairway lead to the front door?
No, and in fact, there's a special you can see on YouTube about that. Somebody goes into that house and like does an interview and all that, and it doesn't line up whatsoever. Just it didn't line up in the fucking movie either.
Right.
If you notice, like the door's this way when the stairs are this way, he would have to almost slant his way over here. It doesn't make sense. But so yeah, I just thought it was interesting. I mean, everything is going B&B these days. Like Blockbuster, as I said, in Bend, Oregon, you can stay there for $10 a night, and that thing is booked up for the next 2 years solid. That's every day, 365 days a year. It is booked up for the next.
And it's
2
still an
years.
operating store,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
but you can stay the night
Yeah,
there. So
yep.
like after they close, you show up.
There's a section that
Okay.
is off away from the store. Like it's
Okay.
through a door or something. Like I think they have sliding glass doors that they lock in the middle of the night. So you stay in that section. The store's
Interesting.
over here.
What's the
Yeah.
point
You
of
gotta do that.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, it's a pretty sweet room. They set it up pretty nice.
Yeah.
I've seen the pictures of it.
It's like VHSs and shit.
That's cool, though.
I'd rather stay in Bend than Home Alone. That's just me
Yeah.
though. Transitioning on, we've got some Spider-Man news. Obviously, this is the most anticipated film coming out for the rest of this year. It's due out on December 17th, No Way Home. But let's talk about the future of this franchise. This week, Amy Pascal, who is the basically the right-hand woman of Kevin Feige, announced that there is going to be 3 more Spider-Man films after No Way Home. And as a bigger treat, Tom Holland is signed for all 3 of those films.
Yeah, buddy.
So aside from the fact that we know Tom Holland isn't going to die now in these next couple of movies,
Jesus.
let's talk about this, guys. So we look at the original 2 Spider-Man franchises. You know, we had the Sam Raimi trilogy, and then we had the duo of films from Mark Webb. Neither one of those films got to transition on past what they wanted to. For Raimi's film, there was a rumored Spider-Man 4 that has been well documented online. You can find videos on YouTube about it. You know, artistic designs for it. They were literally days from shooting this movie, and it got canceled at the last minute. So it's kind of refreshing to see that this is a film that not only that Holland wants to keep going with, but that the studio still believes in. What did you guys think about this news?
Daniel?
I'm for it. I kind of don't like when different directors come in and change, like it's just change the whole face
Yeah.
of the characters. So to keep it still going, especially with the news that with Sony and Marvel back and forth, whether even this one was going to get done.
Yeah.
Now they got 3 more coming. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Sony because, you know, I mean, it's long enough now. People should know. At the end of Venom, there's a post-credit scene that happens.
I haven't seen it yet.
It kind of whispers, okay, to this franchise a little bit. And so to me, there's definitely the direction that's there. It would almost seem like with No Way Home, I don't expect Venom's going to be in this movie. I expect it's going to happen somewhere down the line. That could be what the next 3 movies are doing, because Venom and Spider-Man are 2 very, very well documented rivals amongst comics, even that shitty Spider-Man 3 movie.
Damn.
But so I look at that to kind of be like the next step in this, and it's going to be interesting to see how those two styles merge, because it's two tonally different films completely. Ryan, what did you think about this news?
I mean, I'm pumped that there's an extension in that it's going to be Tom Holland.
Yeah.
I've said I think he's the best Spider-Man. I think he portrays both parts very well, and he's just likable.
I agree.
We talked about it. Dan had made great points about, just the way that he's taken that role to heart. So I'm glad to see him around. Truthfully, I don't know that much. I don't know enough about the Spider-Man franchise to know how much further they can take this story.
Oh, infinitely.
I mean, 3 more. It's like how, I don't know, for a solo piece anyways, to have 3 more movies. When it's Avengers and you are including extra people and everything, you can kind of take the story more places. But when you're talking about a single individualized superhero role, I don't really know where it's going to go. I'm sure it'll be great. I love Holland. If they tie in other, Avengers or other people within the universe into it, I think it'll be really great to see. So yeah, I mean, it's always good news when there's new Marvel releases coming,
and you've got the Doctor Strange card being played this installment.
Yeah, which is my favorite guy.
Yeah, well, there you go. Dan, you look like you got
something. I just thought of something, like with the introduction of the villains in this new film. Like, what if that, like, because they opened up the, what do they call it?
The Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse. Yeah. I mean, it's going to bring, like, is it going to trigger those villains in Tom Holland's Spider-Man version? That's going to be 10 times better than what they were in the other Spider-Verse or universe.
Well, that's the question too. It's so obviously some of these villains are redone.
Like Sandman is going to come back.
Sandman's coming back. He's been proven. Electro's the big one too, because a lot of people don't like that second Spider-Man movie of Mark Webb's.
I like Doc Ock.
I love Doc Ock.
I'd like to see a new Doc Ock.
Yeah.
But those but
it seems like Electro's different. He looks different, but it's the one from that universe though. So it's like they made his look completely different. They knew Sony fucked up, so they wanted to redo it. And he looks great from the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how they act. I really can't comment on that because, like, obviously we haven't seen the movie yet.
Right.
But yeah.
My mind's just going. So I think that'd be interesting to see.
And we're still wondering. I mean, basically, this is a movie centered around the Sinister Six. We know 5 of these villains already. They've been shown in the trailer. Who's the 6th guy? And there's been a lot of speculation on that. Some people say maybe it's Venom. Some people say maybe it's Vulture gets out of prison. Michael Keaton, obviously his character, who's going to be seen in Morbius, which is after this movie. So I don't know how it almost can't be Michael Keaton, because they show him in that movie in jail going, hey, come visit me sometime, come see me and all that. So it wouldn't work out from a timeline perspective. So you wonder who that 6th person is. And I hope they leave it as a mystery. I hope this is the one thing that doesn't get out. If it's that big, there has to be a reason they haven't announced the 6th person yet.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool. Yeah. I don't think we can go wrong with it. I think they've done a very good job with the re-releases or the new releases of Spider-Man. So I say bring it on, man.
Absolutely. Next thing on the list, we've got an update on the Alec Baldwin situation, apparently.
Oh yeah. So not a lot of detail on it yet, but I just was kind of reviewing things for the show tonight, and I saw that I find this kind of weird. So apparently Thursday, so tomorrow, they'll be airing his first sit down interview to discuss the shooting that took place on the set of Rust with this prop gun gone wrong and everything. And they showed kind of like a trailer to the interview, which was highly edited, obviously, to leave all of the interesting points for people to watch tomorrow.
Obviously, yeah.
But one of the things from the clip was him stating very clearly that he said he did not pull the trigger of the gun. And I'm thinking, okay, well then how does this happen? I'm curious to see. I gotta watch this interview now because that's a great
They
piece
got you.
I say it's a great piece to play to wonder. I honestly probably won't watch it. I'll wait for it to just be on Facebook. A local news company might cover it or something. But I don't know. I'm like, what the fuck? If that's true, I mean, if for some fucking odd reason,
why is he saying it now?
He didn't pull the trigger. Like, what the fuck happened, man?
I think maybe malfunction.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
I mean, you got to think it's a prop gun. Like, as much as they make it out to look like a real one, at the end of the day, it's a prop gun.
Yeah.
So it can malfunction a lot easier than an actual gun could.
At the same time, why was a bullet?
Well, yeah, that he made clear. He said this gun should have never been in my hands with a live round, and the live round should have never made it on set.
That's why I don't think it's his fault.
I did not pull the trigger.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, what the fuck? I got to know what happened.
I think even if he did pull the trigger, it's not his
he's still
fault.
not to blame.
He's under the impression it's a blank the whole time. So
Absolutely.
like,
when we talked about it on the show when it first came out, I think we all agreed that he was not to blame. I mean, it's not as the actor, it's not your job. You have the armorer who is fully responsible for the handling of those weapons, making sure that they're safe for set, that they've been, checked and everything. Our actor isn't going to check the gun every time they're on set getting ready to film. That's not their role. They're not trained in that. That's not what they're supposed to be doing. Nope. I think he's not to blame whatsoever. But kind of like what Dan mentioned, I'm curious to see why not. Like, why didn't that come out earlier that he didn't pull the trigger?
His lawyer could have told him not to, though. Like, you're not supposed to comment on stuff like that when it's fresh in the minds of the public. So yeah, it could be a lot of reasons. Honestly, it could just be the tie into it. They could have taken that quote out of context. It could have pertained to something else, and they put it there in the promo for the interview.
Yeah,
it's not always the same thing.
Yeah, but that's it. I mean, I thought that was interesting. If you have been following the story and you want to know more?
Other than that,
there'll be an interview on Thursday night where you can watch the full sit down with him, and he'll explain or talk about what happened.
Have they completed a full investigation of the matter?
I have no idea.
I don't think they could have at this point, but I don't know. I mean, I would think, is he allowed to talk about it if they haven't?
I think, well,
I don't know how that works legality wise. Like, can you discuss it?
Well, it's his decision if he wants to or not, or the advice of his counsel. So I mean, obviously they think this is a good job, a good thing that he can come out to the public and get his name cleared.
I'm sure he wants to get out in front of it and kind of get this off his shoulders. I mean, guilty or not, he's still, I don't know, he didn't pull the trigger. He still shot and killed someone.
He hasn't been criminally charged for it, right?
No.
I mean, there's
still gotta live with that.
I don't think he will be.
You have to live with that, knowing that
I don't
you
know
killed someone.
I don't know what the details, what has come out since then. I haven't seen any stories, or
I mean,
I haven't even seen any news.
I don't see how you could frame him for that.
I
don't see how it's possible.
If one of you accidentally killed someone, I mean, even with accident, you're still gonna live with that forever.
Yeah.
I mean, every time he's on set or anything, you still are gonna have that. So I'm sure he's taken time to himself to kind of just work through it.
Yeah.
But I mean, you do have to get out in front of it and kind of tell your side. And I think a sit down interview will do that. People are still going to hold him to blame. That's just how it works. But I think good for him. Get it kind of out there and hope to try and move on from it the best you can.
All right. Well, closing up Hollywood Report this week is obviously the weekend top 5 box office.
God damn it, Clifford.
You want to go there?
Yeah.
You want to start there?
Let's start with Clifford.
Let's not start with Clifford right off the bat. Actually, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. We're talking about a couple of movies that got kicked off of the top 5 this week, specifically 3 films from last week's top 5. Coming in at number 8 this week, down 34% from last week's numbers. $2 million, just over 1,200 theaters in 6 weeks is Dune at number 8.
Ooh,
so it's
finally taking the hit.
It's starting, from 5 to 8 last week. So I think finally now the public that's going to see this movie have the majority of this film,
except for Dan,
except you. Yes, the people who have wanted to see this movie, they've come and gone at this point. This is either rewatches or it's those spare few like Dan who are going to see it. It's solid that its grand take is now over 100 million. It's 102. So it's doing solid, and that's just domestic. You have to think worldwide, it's a lot bigger. So we've documented its success on this show. I'm happy for Dune. That's all I'm going to say about it.
It's interesting when you think about that amount. 102 is a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
But when you think of the grand scheme of things and the work and time that goes into a movie, the 102 is what it's made, not profit. That's just the amount of money it's brought in from ticket sales.
Yeah.
So that's before obviously they distribute out to the actor, to production company.
Budget comes first. The budget comes first.
Yeah.
And then it's the actors.
So that's wild to think about, in that movie, I'm sure. Do you know how much it costs offhand to make?
Yeah. What was it? 80 million, I think.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So it cost 80 million and they've only made 102.
Yeah. I believe that's what I said on my
22,
review. 80.
Yeah, 22 million.
I mean, that's really in the grand. It's not that much. I mean, there's so much work that goes in to making these films. Yeah, and that's success.
Yeah.
Think about the movies that don't make that kind of money. That's wild.
For them though, like the technical aspects are really the visuals and the sound design. Obviously, like the world building's tremendous on that movie. Like it looks and feels like a world that is far from our own. But you got to think a lot of computer generation goes into those visuals, and while that's not cheap, it's a lot easier to shoot those aspects than it is, say, a technical or a live action movie.
Just wild.
Yep. Also out of the top 5 this week, after only 1 week, like this is its second week now on the countdown, but it falls from 4 to 7, and that's King Richard. $3.2 million. Took a big 39% nosedive this week. Still in 3,300 theaters though, and it has made $11 million total. The Netflix thing has it's probably
HBO, right?
HBO, yeah.
The HBO, just like Dune though.
Yeah.
And look how much money Dune made.
Yeah. I think Dune's one of those that lends itself to a theater though. It's like when people watch it at home, it's almost like I don't see the big deal in it.
Yeah.
You have to see that movie in a theater. Dan, you have to see that fucking movie in a theater.
Well, I'm just convert my living room into a theater.
King Richard was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, you saw it. That's right.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What a well done movie.
I agree.
I agree with you when you said that you compare it second to Pursuit of Happiness with Will.
For his performance.
I mean, what a phenomenal performance, and what a cool story to find out so much of the more behind the scenes of the Serena and Venus story.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that. And I mean, that story isn't out there when you hear about their success now. It's just their success now in tennis, not what started, and to find out that their fathers who really excelled them and pushed them.
It's really his movie.
It's really a cool story. If you have not, I mean, Chris already has said this, but if you haven't watched that movie, watch that movie, whether it's in theater or on HBO Max. If you got it, I give it 9 out of 10.
I did
it was
too.
Fantastic.
It's a feel good film, and I think sometimes those movies kind of get written off as like sappy or schmaltzy.
Yeah.
To me though, I feel like those films, especially at a time we're at now with our world, those are more important now than ever before. And the Williams story, it's a story of inspiration, man.
Those
it really
two,
is.
The girls that played Venus and Serena, they killed it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the Serena actress was phenomenal.
The Venus one, Sanaya Smith, I believe is her name. She's amazing, and I guess she's like a real tennis player too.
Okay.
So like they brought her in. She had she played tennis in her high school, but obviously they had her coached and how to hit like Venus Williams. And she does an amazing job. Like there were times where the long shots, I'm like, yeah, that looks like Venus
is good
in her day, like in her early life.
I like the guy that played the coach,
John Bernthal,
the Punisher.
John Bernthal,
yeah, dude, I liked him in that
Johnny
role.
Bones, baby.
It was funny, dude.
Yeah, he's great in it. And it's kind of funny because like, Richard kind of took advantage of that guy in so many ways.
Absolutely.
And what do you do though when you have not one but two generational talents under the same roof and you get to coach them both?
I mean, they made it into a movie. They stretched the truth a little bit to make it entertaining. But you got to think that if you're this guy, I mean, I almost compare him jokingly to the Ball brothers' dad. Whereas when you truly believe in them and no one wants to give you the opportunity, coming from Compton as a poor African-American family into a primarily white sport, no one's going to give you the time of the day.
Yeah.
He did whatever he needed to do to make it work. And look at them, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Venus is noted as the best, the greatest athlete of all time.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I'll say this. It's the best movie where Will Smith farts on camera ever.
It's a good movie. Check it out.
Yeah. Also out of the top 5 this week, falling from 3 to 6, $5 million in its intake, 3,300 theaters. Clifford, the Big Red Dog, is number 6 this week.
I'm gonna stop the segment right there.
I saw it was on Paramount, right?
Fuck Paramount.
Yeah.
So like, what? Why was it making so much in the theater when the kids can watch it?
They released it a week after. Yeah, they released it on Paramount a week after.
What a trash.
I saw it on there.
43.
I finally got logged in, but I'm like, skip.
Oh, so you watched it?
No.
Oh,
dude. Okay, so
Alicia wants to watch it.
Oh,
I'm not coming over on Sunday.
And here comes the love test.
So speaking of Clifford and my most favorite actress, Rosie Perez.
Oh,
I was watching.
Thank you for this honor, Mr. Ryan Weiss. Or is it Weiss?
Fuck off. I was watching Summer School, and I found out the second person just second to Rosie Perez when it comes to annoyance and voice. And it's the girl in summer school, the one that can't drive.
Oh yeah.
You don't
tell me.
Oh my God. Whenever I saw her and I'm like, oh my God, it's fucking Rosie Perez's sister.
What other movie is she in? Because it's not,
Hopefully
it's
nothing.
Summer School is that one, but there's another movie where she's the focus of it.
Yeah.
I can't remember what. Oh, it's a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3.
Oh
yeah. So she's in that movie, and she's the comic relief of that, which in a nightmare movie stands out like a sore thumb. So yeah, that one I kind of agree with. I get that one.
She's kind of annoying, man. What a good movie though. Have you ever seen Summer School?
I don't think I have.
Bro, what is it on right now? It's on
HBO.
It's the HBO that I saw it on. Watch it. Dude, Summer School is a fucking classic.
Mr. Shoop.
Yeah, Mr. Shoop.
And Kirstie Alley when she looked good.
Dude, she looked good then.
Yeah, that was
God
when
damn.
she looked good. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, remember Look Who's Talking?
Oh yeah.
Remember those movies?
Oh my God.
All right, we're getting off track.
Look
Sorry.
Who's Talking. Look Who's Talking Too. Look Who's Talking Now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Charles Barkley was in the third one.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're up to the top 5 now. We've got 3 new movies on the top 5 this week, beginning with Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City at number 5. This made $5,300,000 in 2,800 theaters in its first week, obviously on the countdown. I saw Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, and here's the good news. It's the best Resident Evil movie.
Okay.
Of the 8 films that they've had now. Wow. Here's the bad news. It's a piece of shit.
I don't ever expect much from Resident Evil movies.
No, they're all garbage movies.
Video game movies suck.
The first one of the original franchise, I think, is at least tolerable to the point I can watch it and not really laugh at it.
Yeah.
What's good about this movie is that it's more faithful to the video games, but on a negative, they get so much wrong about the character designs. And if you were mad about Alice, a fictional character to this franchise, being put as the main character of the original franchise, you are going to be 10 times as angry when you see what they do to Leon Kennedy in this film. So that's number 5 this week. $5 million, pretty solid opening for a movie that wasn't advertised very well
though
at all.
It's not a lot of money.
No, it's not. But I mean, this movie got bad word of mouth before it even started. So to make that much, the video game fans came out in droves for it. Number 4,
in hopes for a better movie.
In hopes for a better movie, and I hope they got the movie they wanted. I didn't. From number 2 last week to number 4 this week, Marvel's Eternals. This has now been on the countdown for 4 weeks and has made $150 million, 7.9 of that being this week's intake, still playing at 3,100 theaters. So even though a lot of people have written this movie off as supposedly the worst Marvel movie of all time, I don't agree with that.
Really?
Yes. A lot of people
Worse
said
than some of them Iron Mans and the Hulk.
They said this is the worst MCU movie. It's getting that kind of polarization for it.
Wow.
I don't agree with that. I can name at least 5 movies I think are worse, but
is it worth seeing for someone that hasn't seen it yet? Is it worth me seeing it?
Yes.
Okay.
For the scope alone, I think it's worth it. But also here's the catch 22. I think as much as the movie, it's only a 6 out of 10 for me, but I feel like you can't watch it at home. It's one of those you have to watch in the theater for the scope of it. If you're going to watch this movie, I say you have to do it in the theater. And this is where the dollar theater would have came in handy when it was still in Canton. Obviously it's not there anymore. So
got it.
Yeah. So Eternals is down to 4, almost made another $8 million though. So like I said, even though it's getting bad word of mouth, $150 million is not something to scoff at, man. It's a great intake for this movie. And it proves Marvel can really do no wrong, apparently. Number 3 this week, kicking off on the countdown, pretty solid intake in its first week. That is House of Gucci, $14,400,000 intake in 3,400 theaters. I was very disappointed with this movie. I thought it was so it's obviously a trashy soap opera, and you kind of grasp that from the opening minute. Jared Leto gives the worst performance of the year that I have seen.
Really? I love Jared Leto.
Yeah, I know. And the thing is, you'll watch it and you'll probably go, man, he's genius and all this. And I've heard people that go, I love this performance. He should have been Mario. I'll say that. He should have been Mario, not Chris Pratt. If he would have been doing this voice in the Mario Brothers, I would have said, it's fucking genius, man. It's the greatest performance I've ever seen in my life. Not so much in a Gucci film where everybody else is playing it serious, and he's this cartoon that stands out in the middle of nowhere.
I've seen so many people posting and talking about it. I had no idea what the fuck it was and have no interest in seeing it, but I kept seeing it getting shared.
Yeah.
People going to see it and talking about it.
I've heard people that lived that scenario, that life.
Yeah.
don't like the way they portrayed it in the.
I don't know anything about it.
I've read that too, that it's not exactly faithful, that they stretch truth a lot in that movie. And you can feel it in certain instances because it feels like there's something missing, like character motivations for one.
Yeah.
So like I'm watching it and I enjoyed the first half of the film. I had it solid somewhere around that 7 out of 10 mark in the first half of the movie. Second half takes a huge nosedive, man. I don't know how a story this fascinating becomes boring.
Wow.
And tedious. And it's like the second half of the movie, it's almost like it's plotting where to end, but it starts introducing all these new elements in the last 20 minutes of the film, and it doesn't have enough time to fully, render all of them. Yeah. So it's a lot of minds. It feels like a lot of chefs in the kitchen, and they couldn't create something tasty for the audience.
Bummer.
But moving on to a good movie now. From number 1 last week to number 2 this week, Ghostbusters Afterlife, $24,200,000 more that it took in this week, bringing its total to $87 million in 2 weeks. It's a solid opening for Ghostbusters. It is now the highest grossing Ghostbusters movie of all time.
Wow.
So with that said, we're obviously going to probably get more sequels. We're going to get more apparel, more merchandise, everything. The Ghostbusters trend is certainly nothing temporary.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of glad about that. Like I know I kind of
from hater to lover.
I was just gonna say, like, this
hater to lover.
Go
You're
ahead.
a different man.
Call me out. Yeah, because I deserve it and I was wrong. And I'm always the first one that admits when I'm wrong. I'm happy, at least for now, like until they make a movie that proves me wrong again. And this is a piece of shit.
It's a nice piece of shit.
It's a nice piece of shit. I'm on board for more movies, especially with these kids. They got to bring back McKenna Grace. If they don't bring her back, there is no Ghostbusters. It's not going to happen. So yeah, I recommend go check it out. And apparently, I mean, as I said, $87 million of people already have. So it's getting good bank. It was only beat this week by Disney's newest release, Encanto, $27 million in its first opening week. Now, here's the thing. I enjoyed Encanto. I loved the hell out of it. It was an 8 out of 10 movie for me, and I thought it's a fine return to form for Disney as far as originality and culture mixing goes. Everything about it is very vibrant and warm, and it's a perfect movie for the Thanksgiving weekend. Where my problem with it is in its marketing. This is the worst marketed movie of the year.
I was gonna say I didn't hear about it
It's
until
a fucking Disney movie.
Yeah.
How did you not hear about it?
I don't remember when I heard about it.
From Chris.
Probably for
First
me.
time I heard about it was from Chris.
I heard about it like a month before I went to go see it. I'm like, oh, Disney's got a new animated film. That's cool. And I'm like, I haven't gotten a trailer for it yet. I sought it out online. Like I went on YouTube to check it out. And I said, yeah, it looks good. I don't get why it's not being marketed.
I knew nothing about it.
Yeah. But apparently, it touched at least $27 million worth of people. I'm glad that it's going to get at least 1 week at number 1. Actually, it'll probably get 2 weeks because there's no big releases coming this week. And Encanto will probably write it out the top 5 this week too. Probably somewhere around that $40 million mark by the end of 2 weeks. But Disney, come on, man.
Is that an XD necessary movie?
No.
Because I was getting fucking pissed by this stupid Encanto movie because I wanted to see Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah.
And they had Encanto in the XD theater.
I'd say
I'm like, what
Ghostbusters
the
is a more
fuck?
XD experience and
Yeah.
like with the sound and everything. Yeah. Encanto,
It's a kid's movie. It doesn't need to be seen in XD.
as long as it's seen on a screen, because the colors are beautiful, but like I wouldn't say it needs to be an XD.
I was
film.
super annoyed by that.
Yeah.
This fucking movie.
So there you go. There you have your top 5, and that is it for Hollywood
So I
Report.
never need to hear about Clifford the Red Dog ever again.
until it makes its triumphant return to
Clifford
the top 5.
2.
Fuck,
Next,
it's going to be on your stupid list of
that shit's gonna
best
happen.
movies ever. or
Yeah, it did
whatever.
well the first time. There's going to be another big red dog.
Hopefully not. Don't torture
And
me.
Rosie Perez is going to ride it around.
I hope she dies. I hope they just I hope her character gets stepped on by Clifford or something. Just write her out of the
I
fucking
got
movie.
squashed by that big fucking dog.
What do you want to do next? You want to do sports or you want to do get social?
Oh god.
Let's do sports because it'd probably be pretty quick. Yeah, we'll do sports real fast. Sports balls.
40, run, William, run! 20, 15! Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup! Oh, blocked by James! LeBron James with the rebound!
This is locker room talk.
So sports is basically becoming to us what Let's Get Social was about a year ago when we were reporting nothing but COVID. Now we're like, fuck sports, man.
Sports sucked all weekend.
I mean,
long.
the segment is sports segment has always been a football segment primarily.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, none of us have anything to brag about in fucking football. So no one wants to just dread on
Yeah, we couldn't even rely on the Buckeyes to
fucking shit
Got some
show.
motivation here on.
If Jesse gets back, he can carry the torch.
Yeah.
Me and Jesse hung out as I talked about in the intro, and he did mention that he would like to make his way back. He's got to kind of figure out what the best day will be, and we're scheduling with him and stuff. But he'd like to get back in studio and join us. I said, look, if you come like once every other week or something, it doesn't have to be every week. That's cool. Dan's been coming consistently, so.
Oh, he comes so consistently.
Hey, but yeah, so hopefully we'll have
consistently, huh?
Hopefully we'll have Jesse back as a featured guest occasionally, and we can have him get a little bit more in depth with sports because he's definitely got the knowledge base. Chris is a very close second, and then
I just
me and Dan are just like whatever. But anyways, let's not draw it out even longer. We had football weekend as usual. Browns, Cowboys, Steelers are the big ones we talk about. Steelers shit the bed yet again. Ben looked terrible. Steelers looked terrible. Steven Smith said Ben needs to chalk it up and be done.
Heard that.
At this point, thankfully the Browns lost, which tied them with us now for third in the division. I don't know how because we have a tie.
They're still a half game back of you.
Mm-hmm. They have us both at 50% somehow.
Well, that's because they only judge that based on your win-loss record, though. You have the tie, which is different.
Well, I know, but I mean, they have us both listed as third. I know. I thought the same thing, and then I went on the ESPN app and was like, "What the fuck?
You should be a half game up."
I thought so too, because I was going to talk shit to Jesse, and then I realized that they had us at the same fucking thing. But anyway, Steelers game was awful. It was fucking embarrassing. We didn't even score, did we? Did we end up scoring?
10 points.
We ended up scoring. We had a field goal only for a large portion of the game. Finally got a touchdown.
They got Steelers at the bottom.
Embarrassing game. Browns went on to lose as well. Buckeyes got terrorized on Saturday. Cowboys, how did you guys fare?
Oh, it was terrific. It was.
I really don't know.
Oh, it was fantastic. Yeah, it was. Yeah, Thanksgiving. It was a great game.
Oh, that's right. It was on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
I was like, wait, you didn't have a game this week?
It was awesome. We got humiliated. We were without our two best receivers. And yeah, our defense looked like shit. So, hey, looking forward to the rest of the year already.
So, hot take. As a huge Steelers fan, I want to know your opinion. So, the barbershop I go to, LaBelle's.
As you are a huge Steeler fan.
About Cowboys, sorry. Cowboys.
Oh, okay.
Cowboys. As a huge Cowboys fan. So I was at the barbershop this week, and the newest guy there, he is a huge Cowboys fan as well.
Smart guy. A lot of misery.
And he was talking Cowboys, and I was just chatting with him or whatever about his thoughts on things. Much like most people, he thinks Dak is overpaid and not worthy. And I disagree.
Don't agree.
But he went on to say that he thinks that they should get rid of Dak, and that a team with complete opposite of what I believe. He believes that you can win a Super Bowl with a great team with a shitty quarterback.
I agree with that.
I think you can win a Super Bowl with a great quarterback, even if you don't have a great team. And he's saying that they have too much chips on the board with Dak, and they need to get rid of him and invest more in the team in itself. I'm curious your thoughts on that.
You're the only team in the NFL where a guy can throw 375 yards and the fans can bitch about his performance that following week. It is amazing to me how often we have this Dak argument week after week after week. Dak is the problem. Dak is not the problem.
Yeah.
Dak was not out there playing defense. If he was, I'd be happy to throw him under the bus. He wasn't.
Right.
The defense was garbage.
Now, I almost positioned him as delusional as Jesse when it comes to this next topic, this next item. He was wagering a bet with Charles that the Cowboys make the Super Bowl
this year. Not happening.
Yeah.
Nope.
I'm like, bro, you're not making it through the first round playoffs.
When they were 7-1, they might make second round. Possible. They've got the Rams
They
right
might make the
now.
first, and then that's it. They're going to make first round.
Yeah,
but they're not going further than they'll make it to the second and lose.
That was my prediction before the year started, and that's the prediction I'm probably going to roll with right now.
He was rolling with, and they actually shuck on and bet that the Cowboys go to Super Bowl.
So that's the only stipulation. It's that it's not that the
Browns
have to get to a Super Bowl. It's just that the Cowboys have to.
He just bet that the Cowboys make it. They don't have to win. But he's betting that the Cowboys go to the show. I'm like, there's no fucking way.
This is a huge Cowboy fan telling you they have no chance to make a Super Bowl this year.
Yeah. And he also went on to say that Tom Brady is overrated and that there's no chance that they will make it. I'm like, bro, he's younger. This guy's younger.
I'll say there's a
Does
chance
he watch football?
I know. That's why I was like, me and Charles were just tearing this kid. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about?
The second statement, I'll kind of go with him. Like, there's a chance Tampa might not make the Super Bowl this year.
Of course.
I think the Packers are looking good. The Cardinals are looking good.
He was saying that the only reason Brady was successful was because of Belichick. That was it. And then Tom Brady's not.
He's already proved. He won
I
a ring
know. 1
without
year
him.
later.
What's
I know.
your fucking argument, dude?
Bro, I wish you could have been there.
Smoke
I wish
that
you could have been.
argument.
I'm just standing there like, what
I'm
is
not
this?
Jesse Young when it comes to sports knowledge, but Jesus, I can debate.
Dude,
I
I don't.
know.
I didn't like Tom Brady in New England, but I was rooting for him to win that Super Bowl in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy for him. Yeah,
But yeah, dude, it's great.
He's like,
Come on.
dude's phenomenal.
I don't have anything against Tom Brady. He's so that's the thing. Like when it comes to the Suns, like we were playing the Warriors last night.
Fire him.
I know a lot of people don't like Steph Curry. I always respect Steph Curry. I love his shot. He's the best pure shooter that maybe the NBA has ever seen. And I got to respect that. You know, win or lose, I'm like, dude, we're gonna lose to the best if we lose. So
But
And
you won.
He came back with a vengeance too, because he was. He was injured and he had been out for a while.
Yeah,
that man came back and he's fucking just
Better.
terrorizing
I hate
the
him.
league.
Better.
Bro. I know, it's insane
Yeah.
because I don't like him. It's very. There's something about him I just don't
Hope
love.
he chokes on his.
And bro, he is just. He's killing it.
I used to hit, like, I'm not a Laker fan in the least, but every time Kobe played, I respected the hell out of that man.
Yeah.
Every time we played him, I'm like, he gets the ball with fucking 0.1 second left. They're going to win this fucking game.
Yep.
I know it. And he'd do it every fucking time.
Curry's with a vengeance, man.
Curry just closes his eyes, throws it behind his back, and it goes in. Every
Yeah.
time. It's just how
He's insane, dude. But
How?
I respect that. Like, I respect the hell out of it.
I think
He
he's
doesn't play
cheating.
dirty. No, he doesn't play dirty.
I think he's cheating.
He plays us head on, and like he had a bad night last night, and we closed him down on a lot of instances, and we won our 17th game
You guys are killing
in
it.
a row. We are now tied for the longest Suns win streak in team history. One more against Detroit tomorrow, and we break the record.
You going to the finals?
It's us and Warriors.
You think so?
I legitimately, everybody's still talking about the Lakers, and when they get healthy, it's going to be great. I don't think the Lakers want any of these two teams right now.
Yeah.
The Suns are a better team this year than they were last year, but the reason they made it last year is because a lot of injuries went through. I think the Warriors can legitimately stop us this year,
Yeah.
but I think that's your Western Finals. It's going to be Phoenix and Golden State. Let the best team win.
Speaking of Lakers, Braun is out. He's out on health protocol, so he's missing the next game. I don't know what their protocol is for time frame, and they haven't officially said he has COVID. They've just said that he's out due to health and safety protocols. So,
And he's never confirmed if he has the vaccine or not. I think every time they've asked him, he's kind of shuffled it off.
he's been in the news, not the news, but the sports media a lot lately, a lot more than LeBron normally.
Yeah.
And for not necessarily great stuff,
Yeah.
injury,
Fight.
sick, getting the players thrown out of the game,
Yeah.
getting in that fight. He got fined for his celebration dance, grabbing his balls. Did you see that? I'm like, bro is just acting a fool right now. He's all over the place. He's being the Braun that we've always said he isn't.
Yeah.
Like, we're like, you only never hear about Braun because of the good things he does. It's always positive. In this
There's
season,
got to be a
man,
LeBron movie coming out soon. Then
bro, he's gone rogue.
getting that publicity.
Starring Chris Pratt.
Yes, as LeBron. He's gone rogue. It's real wild, but I agree. I don't think that they're going back this year.
Yeah. It's,
Golden State is looking 100 times better than they did last year, where they barely even made it.
yeah.
Phoenix is on a fucking roll.
Yeah.
They're killing it. I think that's going to be, I mean, they're definitely the two contenders for sure.
Here's the positive and the negative I can say about both teams. Golden State was exploited last night because they have no size. They physically cannot match up with Phoenix. Phoenix size, DeAndre Ayton I think he scored 27 points. He was the lead scorer last night.
Yeah.
We've got JaVale McGee, who we signed in the offseason. Huge get for us. So if Golden State is going to compete, they need to sign somebody by the trade deadline, and they need it fast.
Yeah.
Like, they need a big center. They're going to get a couple people back. Klay Thompson's going to come back any day now. He's been out for better part of 2 years, but Klay is still no size. When you lost DeMarcus Cousins and you lost Kevin Durant, you lost that size.
It's wild to me that you can be out for that long and still be
KD's coming back.
be fucking on the team, you know? Like, dude has contributed nothing. He's still making fucking bank.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yep.
And then we'll see what happens out of the East. I don't really.
I think
It's going to be Nets probably.
it's probably Nets. Just the East doesn't look great
They
right
don't.
now. It looks like none of those teams want either. I'll even go as far as say the Lakers. None of those teams even want the Lakers.
Yeah.
Like Brooklyn could not win a series against the Lakers.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Bucks, are they doing anything this year?
No, that's with the NBA. The curse
Yeah.
has always been there's one team that's always a fluke, and I thought it was going to be the Suns because we started 1-3. I'm like, yep, there you go. We should have won it last year. We're the team that's up here now, and the Bucks are right here. I think they're 7-9 now or something like that.
Okay.
7-10.
Wow. Yeah, you haven't heard much out of the East. I mean, just the stuff going on with the Nets, mainly because there was all this shit going on with Kyrie and whatever. But
yeah,
not much there. The Bulls are in some trouble though on the East. The Bulls and the Heat both.
Okay.
So there's been an ongoing investigation into both these teams.
Oh yeah.
Regarding some like shady trade tactics or whatever, and they finally concluded. Yeah. And they've both lost a second round draft pick because they concluded that they did do some shady dealings with Lonzo and then Kyle Murray.
They were negotiating before they were allowed to, rightfully. Yeah. So before the season was over, they were already negotiating with these talents.
Yeah.
So luckily it's only their first offense. Those aren't teams that get busted for troublesome dealings a lot. So I think there's not going to be a big problem that comes from this. What did you say was
they each lost a second round draft pick, which isn't a big deal.
NBA second rounds are worth nothing. NFL, you'd lose a lot.
Yeah. So I mean I didn't know much about that though.
Yeah.
I just saw that it concluded though. So they are
for Lonzo. He's a mediocre player. I know a lot of people like him. He's a mediocre
player. I agree, dude. Well, it's the two brothers are playing now, right? Yeah. Lonzo, what's the other one?
LaMelo's the better player.
Yeah. That's where I was saying like a little bit earlier with the King Richard thing. Like the dad pushed it though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he believed in them to the point that he forced them to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Lonzo definitely was a flop. He was on Lakers. Now who's he play for?
Where did he go?
I don't even know where he plays now at this point.
He went somewhere in the East. LaMelo went to Charlotte.
Either way.
Did he go to Pelicans?
Maybe. You might be right.
New Orleans.
I think
he went to.
Yeah, that sounds right. I think he did go to New Orleans.
Somewhere where he can't be found.
They're not great though. I mean, that dad, I give him all the credit in the world for pushing them and their big baller brand, which flopped and became nothing. Their shoe deal.
They're still making shoes.
It's trash.
Those are like
LaMelo's. They're claiming LaMelo's first signature shoe through Puma is the best first signature shoe since Jordan.
Those might as well be Steve Madden.
His dad's
shoes.
claiming this, correct?
No, it's I saw somebody on Facebook.
Yeah,
those are Starburys.
They're trash. Neither of that. I mean, granted, look, I can't say they're trash. They made it in the NBA. They're better than any of us. But I mean, as far as NBA level, they're nothing to brag about. Good for them both getting in. The dad, succeeded in that. But outside of that, I mean, it's nothing to write home about. I think you hear about them mostly not because of their on-court stuff. It's because of all the media coverage that was created just because of their dad.
Yeah.
Like otherwise the ball name wouldn't be a household name otherwise. It'd be just like any other B-list player on a team that's there as the fifth person, but you don't know much about.
They were okay in college, but I remember my Kentucky Wildcats knocked LaMelo's team, or not LaMelo, Lamar's. What the fuck's the other one's name?
Lamar, Lonzo, LaMelo. I don't fucking know. It's the ball brother.
The older brother. Okay. I remember they knocked him out of the March Madness tournament. And I was like, wow, that was it, huh? Like he's that good, huh?
Yeah, they're trash.
So Lonzo plays for the Bulls right now.
Yeah, Lonzo's on the Bulls.
Lonzo's the old one. Yeah, LaMelo is the Charlotte one. Plays for the Hornets.
They suck. Either way.
Yeah.
That's really it for sports, though. I mean, honestly, there's not much. NFL is the only thing going on. MLB, we might not have MLB. I mean, there's a big strike that's potentially going to happen with them
right after we sign the Cy Young guy.
Right? Too. Yeah. No shit. Well, I mean, you guys sign the Cy Young guy. Cleveland goes through all this rebranding nonsense, all this money they've spent on this whole new team. There might not even be a fucking season now. So MLB's a mess at this point.
94 all over again.
They got to figure something out with the MLB when it comes to their money.
Yeah.
I mean, with there being no caps or anything like that, I mean, it just gets so out of hand.
That's why
with the MLB.
That's why the Yankees and Red Sox and all those teams are up here, and then the Seattle Mariners are right down here.
Like, they've got to level the playing field at some point. Otherwise, what's the fucking point?
Yep.
Well, it's like the Indians. Oh, I'm sorry, the Guardians.
Yeah, right. It's always going to be the Indians.
Having the lowest payroll, like it's just. You're not going to get fans in the seats when you're not.
It's wild
bringing talent here anymore.
Still one of the best teams.
Yeah, but they need some to get people in the stands.
I agree.
They need some high dollar.
Dolans are cheap.
Dan just reminded me of something I was going to bring to sports this week. So Max Scherzer, who's a pitcher for, I believe it's the Nationals. Don't quote me on that though, but he's one of the best pitchers in all of baseball.
Yeah.
This season, I read an article. This season, he is going to make more money the entire Guardians
than the whole
lineup.
Guardians team. Yeah.
That is insanity.
Yeah. The
That's
Dolans don't
ridiculous.
spend money. I mean, they don't spend money on the stadium. I mean, I was talking. Who was I talking about? It wasn't you guys. I was talking to somebody about the whole rebranding of the Guardians, and just how cheap the Dolans are. I mean, when you really think about when you're changing the name of your team, this is your opportunity to start fresh. They did nothing.
No.
They literally just changed the name. They used the same Indians font. They kept the same colors.
DNs.
They didn't want to have to do anything with changing the stadium or any of the colors, and they got to put new seats in there because it doesn't match. They could have went a different color scheme that matches the Guardians. It's a gray and black and white theme. They could have went like a Raiders type colors or like
the Yankees. You can't
yeah,
really.
you
mess with
do,
that
but you still got
color.
the White Sox. I mean,
Well, you can't-
the black and
can't do
the
it.
blue, red, and white just doesn't work with the rebrand.
Yeah.
They've got to invest in their team.
That logo's fucking horrible.
Well, the logo is awful. That's because they went the cheap route. They
Yeah.
probably stayed in-house. They didn't want to pay a bunch for marketing and rebranding. It's clear they went the cheap route. I mean, the logo is trash. The name is the same exact font. They kept the same color scheme. Like, this was really your opportunity to change this team, start fresh, be something new. And they went cheap with it.
and now you're reminded of the Indians every time.
Yeah. So my dad and I were talking. It's like, was it 26 years since Jacobs Field
Yeah,
has been there?
94.
94?
Yeah, 27.
27?
Yep.
Yeah. We were talking about that yesterday on the drive. And he's like, it's just insane how much time has passed. Like,
I was there opening
Back-
day.
Jacobs
Jake was
Field,
dope,
when
man.
that was open, what did the Indians do? Like, it was a rebranding, new, like taking it from the Coliseum.
They played at Cleveland Municipal Stadium.
Yes, that's right, Municipal.
Yeah. The
So
Cavs
take
played
it
at the
from
Coliseum.
there to Jacobs Field, and they brought a team. They had the skill.
Yeah.
95, playing for pennants.
Yeah.
96, playing for pennants. 97, playing for pennants. 98. Start that
97 was
over
World
again.
Series, right?
97,
was
yeah.
World Series,
95
right?
and 97. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the World Series. And then 11, 13.
We had a couple showings.
Yeah.
They had to,
16,
They
they had
just,
16
Cubs.
was the
I don't
call,
know.
yeah.
I agree. I mean, they got to do something with their team. And you lose Lindor, a huge name like Lindor. Who was the pitcher? Bauer.
Yeah.
You lose Bauer, or possibly at the risk of losing Francona.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got to do something with that team.
Well, they lost Kluber too. Corey
Yeah,
Kluber,
Kluber.
Well,
so-
you win something. You win an award in Cleveland. You're out the next year,
Yep,
and then
yep.
you're playing for
Yep.
World Series
Yeah.
the year after.
yeah. Well, that was kind of the deal with
like
the
a farm team.
Best farm system in the majors,
farm team,
the
yeah.
Indians.
and that's the problem, as Ryan was alluding to with the payrolls and all that. It's that, so you have a team like, we'll use the Blue Jays in this instance. They had Robbie Ray, who was this year's Cy Young winner, and now they lose their Cy Young winner. How do you not throw money at that kid? I mean, like,
Right.
20 plus wins. I think he won 22 games this year. Like, dude, if you throw money at anybody, that's the guy
Yeah.
you do it to. But no, instead he gets signed by the Seattle Mariners for $170 million over 6 years. And it's like,
Wild. Wild.
now he's a memory. Now his time in Toronto is gone.
They've got the money. They just don't want to spend it.
Well,
I mean,
and-
if they're happy with the product that they are putting out there, there's no minimums, there's no caps. I mean, they're going to spend what they want. Sadly, people still go to the games.
Not many. Dude,
Sad.
remember the sellout crowds, man.
I was like I said, I was there the first
God.
game. The first day they played my Mariners and they won 6-4. They won it in the 9th with the last minute RBI, 2-run double RBI that won the game for the Indians over Randy Johnson, who was the pitcher that day.
Man.
Yep. I
yeah,
remember.
and then you got the Rubber Ducks who win championships.
I was there.
You were. I remember watching.
and now this week they're selling the seats for fucking $200 a piece,
Jeez.
and $100 of that is shipping now too. So you have to pay $300 if you want a seat.
What?
Yeah. So the seat itself is
Oh, because the actual seats.
yeah. You so
'Cause
they
they got rid of
sold
those-
the seats.
yeah.
Remember now the fans think, oh,
I
good.
want one. It's $300.
Yeah, I want one too.
I've always wanted a baseball stadium seat for like bench seating.
Wait,
and I always
I
thought that
want-
would be super cool.
I
You
want.
can't just walk down there and pick it up.
Mm-mm. So I'm gonna.
Sounds like a gas tank.
So I'll go ahead and spoil.
spoil it.
So I'll go ahead and spoil what I was thinking about getting Jesse this year was a brown seat from Cleveland Municipal Stadium. They have a couple of them online. There's one that's on Facebook right now, but it's $280. It's very pricey, and I thought about getting it for him, but I opted out. The gift I got him is 10 times better. But yeah, I've always wanted a Texas Stadium one for the Cowboys. They've got the star on the side of it. Yep. It's the old stadium they tore down, and I want a Canal Park one. Yeah. The Canal one though, like I said, so I went online. It was $150 for the seat. And then if you wanted feet on it, otherwise it's going to like be rocky and you're going to probably fall off it and all that. That's like another $50. If you want a commemorative plate, that's $50. If you want it shipped, that's $100.
That's whack. I always thought it'd be super cool to have like at least two next to each other. So you'd have like a good bench type seating.
That'd be cool.
It's so expensive though.
Very expensive.
History.
They got Pittsburgh history. Three River Stadium once. I saw.
Yeah, dude. It'd be so dope to have.
Yeah.
I think that's really it outside of for sports. Basketball, baseball, football. Go Phoenix. I don't know if the Cavs are doing anything. Who fucking
doing all right?
Bad. For being injury prone, like they've got like
11 and 10 right now.
Yeah, I think they're 6th or 7th in the playoff, and they were solid. They were tied for the division before Mobley and Sexton went out.
Okay.
So they've got a nice young future there. I think they matured this year. It's just injury hit them.
Yeah. Kevin Love's still on that team?
They are.
No.
They're in 8th place right now.
Yeah, I think he is.
I always liked Love, but he turned into nothing.
He's scrawny now.
He lost a ton of weight.
Yeah, it's a sad story.
That's it for the sports ball. Finish up with some social.
This looks like a nice piece of
It is July 20th, 1969. And man is about to land on the moon.
Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
That's the way the news goes.
Dude, you got to check your stream.
Don't I know it?
Never cross the streams.
No, don't cross the streams, Ray.
It's just dribbling out.
Oh yeah.
The silly stream. Come on, guys.
Bunch of fuck.
Oh, don't do it.
Don't do it. Let's get social. We got quite a few things going on in Let's Get Social this week. Kick it off with Giselle. Maxwell?
Ghislaine.
I don't know. I truly don't know her first name. I think it's Giselle.
I think it's Jillian.
Jillian Maxwell.
Jillian Maxwell.
We talked about last week that after Rittenhouse case ended, the next big one to kick off would be the Maxwell case with Jeffrey Epstein. They were doing jury selection last time we talked last Tuesday. So it's kicked off. Several articles are coming out. Kind of what's going on, but this case does not. It has the interest that the Rittenhouse did, but it doesn't have the coverage. That the Rittenhouse did. They're not showing in court stuff. It's been very kind of hush media wise now. I mean, we can all kind of understand why. I'm sure there's so many high profile people involved that they're trying to keep it quiet. But testimonies are kicking off. Witnesses are kicking off. One of the witnesses that took the stand today came on and said that she's 41 now, I think.
Is that Alice or
Jane is her name that she's
yeah.
going by.
Yeah.
It took the stand and stated that Maxwell was involved, was in room with her when she was being groomed by Epstein.
14.
Was there and witnessed when he was forcing her to have sexual acts with him. There's 4 women apparently so far that are supposed to be taking the stand, or they didn't even say women, 4 witnesses is what they said, I think. It's interesting to see where it's gonna go. She seems very high spirits for how high profile as this case is. The little bit of coverage that I did see of her, she was almost kind of like just laughing the situation off. Like she was in the courtroom with her attorneys and stuff with a smile on her face, dressed nice, kind of just happy-go-lucky. I'm like, you're on trial for your life, pretty much.
Not what you typically see from a personality.
Yeah, you know, like, which is wild. So yeah, I mean, this case is in full swing at this point. I'd love to see more in depth, like we saw with Rittenhouse, with, the video testimonies and things, to kind of be in the courtroom and see what's going on. Have you guys followed it at all? Any interest in the case or anything like that? What are your thoughts on it?
Funny enough, I followed this more than I did the Rittenhouse.
Yeah,
trial.
This is a big one.
Yeah, this is one that I'm fully invested in, and especially with the names that were rumored, going into it and all that. Like, I think that if they can find out, even a little bit, even 10% of what happened into this, it's going to blow people's minds.
Now, you said something today that I think is important. When you have any kind of case like this, any kind of court case and in media involvement, you have to look past the headlines, which we're all guilty of doing one way or another, because some of the headlines are very misleading. One of the headlines that they put out was that Epstein's private jet pilot came out and he announced, all these names of people that flew on his flight. But then if you read the article, it was like, yeah, they flew on his plane, but it wasn't to his island. It was that they used his plane to travel overseas for business relation of their own.
Yeah.
But if you don't read it, you think, oh shit, this person was on his plane. They must have been involved in this. Now, maybe they did. I'm not saying they weren't, but it's very misleading. The media is out here to get that attention grab, and people just share.
Yeah.
And that's what they hope for. It just becomes clickbait. So make sure you're actually looking into these articles. The other one was the one that you had brought up about.
I got it right here.
Trump or something.
The one I sent you, which revolved around that 14-year-old Jane.
Yes.
So the headline is Jeffrey Epstein introduced me to Trump at 14. Ghislaine Maxwell's accuser says. So if you click the article, I mean that statement right there, you think, oh my God, 14 and being introduced to Trump and what's he doing with a 14-year-old and all this.
Right.
And so you click it and the first thing that this woman says is no sexual acts between her and Trump took place. And I'm like, what the fuck was the point of that framing then?
Yeah.
Like they used the Trump name in the case.
Well, and it's NBC News. So obviously,
when you think of this case, the first thing that comes to mind is Jeffrey Epstein and sex trafficking.
Yeah.
So immediately you're going to tie any name that's in the headline as a guilty party involved in these acts, So we really have to look into it because there's going to be a lot of people victimized by these headlines that aren't truthful, and the full aspect of what's going on.
Jumping to conclusions.
Yeah.
People who don't want to click and read the article, they just want to read the header and go, oh, now I know everything.
Yeah. So easy to just hit that share button after reading that title.
Yeah.
Takes time to read.
My thing is, I guess this is one thing I've never really understood is what do you have to gain from sharing of a headline about an article that anybody could see? It doesn't involve you. And if the information is misleading, like, I guess, what are you getting out of just clicking share to it? Like, what are you wanting from it?
Do you remember that Denzel video that I sent to you about where he talks about the news doesn't even have to be factual anymore? It's just your first.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be first. It doesn't matter what's true.
Well, from the media, sure.
I know you're saying though, from a
like
personal
us.
standpoint, but it's still, it's that getting up. It's the fact that people will look at your page. There's more views to your page. There's more clicks. We're a nation now, unfortunately, that lives on clicks and watches. You and I have debated this 100 times when it comes to what people view popular as opposed to artistic expression that we get every week from you. Like that to me is the biggest problem when it comes to cases like this. So like, it doesn't have to be true. And the Denzel words play into it perfectly. It doesn't have to be true. It just has to be first. If you're the first one that shares Ghislaine Maxwell reveals that Donald Trump molested 14-year-old girls and all that, people are going to come to your page in droves. They're going to comment it. Suddenly my page is the focal point for the topic and the conversation and all that. It sounds pathetic. It is. That's what it is what it is though.
Yep.
It's just, I don't know. It's one thing I just never understood. Like, I'm all about people sharing. I love that people share the news because it's honestly, it's how I get the news. Yeah. I very rarely, outside of this show, if I'm looking for something relevant to want to talk about, I rarely go on any kind of like news media website. I never turn the news on like TV or anything. It's all negative. I don't want to involve in it.
That's why
it's all one-sided.
Yeah, I do enjoy, the ability for social media to share news so quickly and for us to have access to it. And I think it's important to share, relevant topics and kind of show support when it's things that need to be seen and talked about. When we're talking about racial pandemics and things like that, and injustice and getting that word out there and showing your support for that community so these people know that they're not alone, I'm all for it. But when it's just the share just for the sake of sharing it, and then you have the one that gets me the most is these shares when it's fake information and then you call them out on it and they're like, oh yeah, you're right, and then they still leave it up. I'm like, just delete it. Like,
Yeah.
are you fucking stupid? That shit drives me insane.
Those that share it, and then when people start commenting, they don't respond.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I don't know. One of the biggest ones is when someone shares an article and it's like 4 years old.
Yeah.
And then you
I
call
can't
them out
stand it.
on it. And then I'm like, so you're going to delete it? Or are you just going to keep
Yeah,
letting people
that
see this
happens
thinking that it's still fucking going?
far too often.
Dude, I wish there was a feature where you could like just be like, this is wrong. Can you take this down? Like we fact check the stupidest shit.
I don't have anything to add to this
No,
conversation.
I'm sure. So anyways, but yeah, this case is kicking off. I mean, it's been a week almost at this point. I'm curious to see what unfolds. I'm also wondering what actually comes of it. I mean, there's so many names supposedly involved in this that are high profile. It's like, what do we actually do? You know, what level of guilt? What are we going to expect from it? What's going to be the outcome of it? I'm assuming she's made some kind of plea deal. I mean, do you think she's got to get time, right?
She's definitely going to get time.
Yeah.
It's a matter. I probably think the plea deal is just so she avoids death.
Is she going to not hang herself like Jeffrey did?
So here's
I mean,
what they're
truthfully,
saying.
do you think, I mean, she gets
This trial for her is the trial that Epstein should have gotten.
Yeah.
But who knows what happened there?
He didn't kill himself. That's for sure.
And that opens up a whole can of worms as far as people talking and all that goes too. Like there's people that think he did, there's people that think he didn't.
Here's the thing. Okay. Let's say he did kill himself. Even at that point, that prison is at fault.
Yeah.
When you have someone high profile like that, you're supposed to have them being watched. They're supposed to be on suicide watch. You are responsible for not keeping an eye on that person and allowing him to die. So I place guilt on that jail, and if maybe they didn't actually kill him, they're responsible. They're equally as responsible for him dying.
I agree.
By not handling the situation appropriately.
Why would he have that in the first place?
Brought to trial. Yeah. So, I mean, we need justice in this thing. Me selfishly hope that a lot of these names that are being thrown around don't come out as being actual guilty parties. You know, there's been documents and stuff shared with names on it that I'm like, I don't want that person to be guilty of that. You know, like I like them. I enjoy their work. I respect them. The last thing I want to find out is that they were fucking part of a child sex trafficking ring.
So there's a lot of big names.
I mean, it's hindsight though. You'd want them to be caught.
Well, no, but I'm saying I'm hoping that they aren't actually a part of it because I'm hoping that it's just, you know, they were there, but they weren't a part of what is being charged as a crime.
And that's what I wonder if most of this is, if it's just these were people that were at the parties. Like Bill Clinton was at a party where a 14-year-old got raped.
Bro, I mean, here's the thing. If you are a celebrity and you don't necessarily need to know what Jeffrey Epstein is doing in his personal time, but you've got a rich man who's got an island that throws in giant parties on it, and you're in a world where you can attend them.
Yeah.
I don't think you're guilty by association in that point.
I don't mark that either. I only say to people, like, if there's an accuser that comes front and says Trump did this, Trump did this to me, then I go, okay, well, now we've got a problem.
100%. But like releasing a list of people that says, hey, all these people visited his island. Okay, now you're putting a target on them.
Yeah.
That they were there, so now they're guilty by association.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
It's you know, if I was at a party where something bad happened and I got blamed for it,
I would use the exact.
I would be pretty pissed off.
You go to a college party that you're and then you find out that a girl was raped there. So now you were guilty of rape because you were there.
Yep.
I mean, that's essentially what they're saying and releasing of some of this information.
Yeah.
So we just got to be careful with that. But I'm interested to see what unfolds with her. I hope she does her time.
Yeah.
They don't take it easy on her, and we get some justice for, you know, for some of these families and victims of this man.
And I hope she lives till the end of the trial.
She better, and afterwards. Although I think it's stupid for people to sit in jail forever, but she needs to do the time for her crime. So we'll see. One of the things that was in the article, they were talking about that pilot that I thought was interesting is that Epstein owned property in Columbus, Ohio, which is real creepy. It's real close to home.
He's got a billionaire best friend there. I guess like he lives here.
What did he have? Like what property did he like owned a house in Columbus?
His friend was a realtor though. He was a billionaire realtor who owned like tons of
I just thought it was creepy that they were saying that flight log, like he'd fly to Columbus all the time.
Yeah. Well, so did Urban Meyer. We know what happened there.
Fucking creepy, bro. Of all places, you know.
A lot of good stuff happens in Columbus.
Columbus is a fun town, but So yeah, that case has kicked off. That will be in the news on and off. I don't know how long this type of thing goes. It seems like a pretty big case.
Yeah.
So that's going on. Some coronavirus, COVID news type things are going on.
It's mutating.
So one of the big things that came out was Biden's healthcare or mandatory vaccine order for some like employer-based roles.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of states fought him, or trying to sue him or allege that the action he was placing wasn't lawful and that they didn't have the right to do so. In these 10 states that fought him, a federal judge actually agreed. It was very specific though. It was within the healthcare industry. And if you were at a facility that was like Medicare or Medicaid based or something, I don't really know what
that you had to have,
but yeah, you were required to have it and they overturned it. They're not forcing it. So,
they sent us something about it today.
Did you?
Yeah. So they sent us all out a memo today at work. And basically it said that, that as of right now, like we can't go forward with this mandatory thing. But they did say, though, they expect it to be overturned by Congress, that Congress is going to challenge it and that they expect it to go back the other way again.
Interesting.
Because Congress feels like that they're out of their moral ground to dismiss something like this when so many people are suffering.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's my opinion. I'm staying out of this, but I'm just saying that's what they'd said.
We want your opinion though.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't realize that you fell under that. So Ohio was one of the states then?
Well,
Ohio was one of the states.
Okay.
Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know, I work at a nursing home.
Yeah.
And like we have 4 different branches at that nursing home, and nursing care was the only building that was being mandatory. Like if you want to work in that building, you have to get the vaccine. The other 3, they said no, not so much. I don't know why they did that, but it is what it is. And now today they said we can't force that mandatory, which would have been December 3rd for the first shot and January 4th, I believe, for the second shot.
Yep.
Yeah.
For you guys that don't know, the Ben Stiller character in Happy Gilmore is actually based off of Chris. They wrote that role for Chris and he decided to not take it. So
Grandma's a lovely quilter.
I didn't know that you got that order. So that's interesting. I'm curious to see where it goes. I know that there's going to be other industries that probably fight this.
My former employer,
they make the cut.
They were going to force it, but because of the law got struck down, or the bill got struck down in Ohio, they're not forcing it at this moment. So
yeah,
be interesting to see where it goes, because with that, we talk about the mutation, as Dan mentioned.
Omnicron. When's it going to stop?
Well, first one kicked off in California. I think that's where the first COVID was too, wasn't it? I think the first COVID case was
probably.
California.
Yeah.
I heard about it when I was traveling this past weekend.
Omnicron?
There was like 12 people. Omnicron.
Every time you guys say, you know what that reminds me of? Do you guys remember in Horrible Bosses when they go, "What's your name?" Amanon.
Yeah.
Amanon. We're just gonna call you Joe. All right.
You found out about it when you were in Chicago?
Yeah, that there's 12 people, because it just glanced at the news. 12 people had it, and then like 5 of those 12 people were flying on planes.
Yep.
I'm like,
it originated in Africa, and then it spread really bad there quickly, and now apparently it is in Cali. So that's going to be our next thing, heading right into winter. We went from Delta to Omnicron. Who knows what the fuck we have next? I don't fucking know.
Here's what pisses me off about all this.
What pisses you off?
Instead of making these things mandatory,
what grinds your gears, Chris?
You're going to find out right now. Instead of making this vaccine mandatory for everybody and all this, debating moral high ground, why don't you just close down international travel?
I think they did. I think they're going to
really.
No, I think they're about to go. Well, I heard that they're supposed to be doing that.
Had you done that in the first place,
oh yeah, of course.
This whole fucking thing started. This wouldn't have lasted 5 weeks.
You're talking about Trump.
I'm not necessarily.
It's okay, you can say
I'm not being the mudslinger here. I'm the guy in the middle. I don't have a horse in this race. They won't even let my horse on TV. So I'm just saying,
Mr. Ed,
had you shut down international travel when this whole thing started, COVID would have never even seen American soil, would have never even come close.
Those fucks fucked us.
It's easy as that. So if you really cared about this, fighting this thing and fucking beating it, you'd shut down travel. Just saying.
Yeah. International travel should be shut down for sure.
Yep.
They implemented like stronger, like now you can't come in unless you're vaccinated at this point, international wise. you have to be vaccinated to travel to the United States.
Even vaccinated can be carriers.
Well, I was gonna say, which is great and all, but there's plenty of people that are getting sick that are vaccinated.
Yep.
You know, it still happens, unfortunately. So that's the next wave of this nonsense. Is we got this. We've said, I think, on the show for a long time. It's not going away. It's going to continue to evolve. It's going to continue to change.
It's the next flu.
Yeah, you just got to do the best you can to deal with it, and focus on protecting yourself, whatever that might be.
Everywhere in Chicago you had to wear a mask. Everywhere you
Yep.
went, mask mandatory.
Yep. When we were in Philly, that was one of the first times I've been somewhere in a long time that required a mask. It wasn't like max or like recommended if you're not vaccinated sign. It was the hotel required at all places in the hotel to have a mask on.
Same.
And the concert hall. We had to wear a mask the entire time during the
believe
concert. I've been to shows where we didn't have to do that though.
Mhm.
I mean, we saw Andrew McMahon at House of Blues in Cleveland, no mask required. And then 2 weeks later saw him in Philadelphia, masks were required.
Mm.
It's the Philadelphia one was based on the local municipality or whatever. They had laws in place where it was required still, which I found that interesting. It's so different place to place. It's
Airport mask, airplane mask,
Well,
airport mask.
I made the choice when I
Uber
was in
mask.
Yeah, well, you don't
Hotel
know who's going
mask.
there. When I was in Arizona, I made the choice when I went to the Cardinal and 49er game. I was like, they don't make you do it, but I wore mine. I was like, fuck this, dude. 75,000 people. I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
I was even wearing it outside.
Yeah.
Through the streets of Chicago. There's so many people there, but it also was cold.
Mm-hmm.
So it acted as a mandatory scarf.
So there you go.
So it was
perfect time of the year.
Yeah, it kept me warm. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna keep changing. There's gonna be what comes after?
It's the New Mutants.
Omnicron.
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 Yeah, so COVID's around. Another interesting COVID thing that happened with Trump, Chris's boy Trump.
I don't know what he said.
Chris, the one that refused to shut down the borders. He started this all. It's all his fault.
I mean, a lot of it is his fault.
So when he was here for the debate in Cleveland, you remember shortly after that, him and Melania went on lockdown for having COVID.
Yeah.
He apparently tested COVID positive before that debate. And he did the debate anyways. And then it was like a couple days later that he said he tested positive and went on quarantine. So apparently Cleveland Hospital or whatever is under fire because they were who tested him. And he went on to do the debate anyways.
But what were they going to do?
Well, I mean, I'm sure
that was when it took 4 days.
If you knew he was positive, then maybe, and he was going to still do this thing, maybe I don't know if they can't say anything, but
he's the president of the United States. Can you go like, you're not doing this debate tonight?
I don't know.
Right. I think that's
shitty for him though. He was probably trying to kill off Biden. Is probably was hoping for.
Well,
he's like, if I got fucking
probably
COVID,
the
fuck this
weakest
guy.
Give me a hug, Joe.
Yeah. I thought that was crazy though. That's just a bad look if you have it and you're trying to. It doesn't help his cases in any means. So
he's lucky more people didn't get it. I mean, maybe they did.
Well, that was the thing they said is that apparently he was at they had some kind of event or celebration or whatever, and they deemed it as a very highly toxic COVID
transmissible
spreader event.
Yeah.
A ton of people probably received it there. So great stuff. Great way to protect us all.
So they're gonna start naming these COVID variants
after presidents,
just like they
dollars?
do. No,
Like
just like they do hurricanes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we got
Andrew.
COVID.
The next one's going to be Optimus Prime.
Bumblebee.
Keeps transforming.
No vaccine will stop me.
So yeah, good stuff going on there.
Whatever happened with those murder hornets? Did they ever?
They're still around. They're just fucking all the other bees up.
They're gonna appear in the Maxwell case.
Jesus.
God. Buzz.
Yeah, COVID's here to stay. We'll always have a job in news because we'll always have COVID to talk about at the very least of anything. So
the gift that keeps on giving this Christmas.
The fucking Jelly of the Month Club. COVID of the Month Club. What are we calling it this month?
We get so angry on here about this shit.
Pisses me off. The last thing I had for Let's Get Social is a sad, somber
let's not ruin our streak.
Topic is the shooting that happened in Michigan. at the high school. It was 15-year-old, I believe. So we haven't had, thankfully, any sort of like gun violence type things we've talked about on here in a little while.
Yeah.
School shootings, especially. I mean, during COVID, I think we said that there was none. Well, people weren't at school.
That's the fortunate thing about all this.
People weren't at school, but sadly, there was a shooting at a school in Michigan, and 4 people were killed, others injured, I'm sure. But the 15-year-old is he was caught, and he's being charged with terrorism, murder of these 4 people, several other things.
Surprises me.
And they're holding him. They're going to try him as an adult, which
15.
I mean, it's sad at 15 years old. I mean, that's it for you. But what else are you supposed to do? I mean, what else do you do with the kid?
I agree with the sentencing. I'm just saying that I'm surprised by it, especially because he's 15. If he was 17, I could see them leaning a little more toward that because he's so close to it anyway. But like, this is the first abrupt step forward that I would say that they've had in punishing teenagers in a while.
Yeah.
But I think what good will come out of this is that more kids will look at that as the example and go like, well, he got punished as an adult. There's really going to be no way out of this. It's not like you're going to be 18, then you're going to get out of juvenile hall or detention center. You're probably going to go to prison for life.
Yeah. The awful thing, I mean, the whole thing is awful, but oddly enough, the school actually met with his family that same morning.
Mm-hmm.
They had visited his family due to behavioral issues and concerns for him. So Tuesday morning, the school meets with his parents, and then that same day is when this all happened.
And then the words "see" just came out.
Right. Really sad, man. I cannot imagine at that age, at any age, but at 15, feeling like you're in such a place that you're going to go to school and shoot up a bunch of kids. You know, obviously something was going on there. There's bullying.
That's what I was thinking, because when I was
Yeah.
15, I was subject to that at Cuyahoga Falls. And I mean, I'll say that I never wanted to come up and shoot up the school or anything like that, but I wanted my, beaters to die. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's really awful. I just can't imagine being in that position.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, at 15, you know better by all means. But to be brought up or to be in a situation where you feel like that's your out or that's going to resolve your issue.
Yeah.
It's terrible. People are probably going to hate this take, but I feel like he's just as much a victim, not as much, by no means as much as the people that died, but he's a victim of something that doesn't happen just because, so he was a victim of bullying or a terrible home life or abuse. Something drives you
where it starts.
Yeah. Something drives you to that, where he didn't feel he had the support or someone there to go to. And I think that's just awful. His life is ruined. Those families' lives are ruined over something that, potentially could have been prevented if, maybe it was better outreach programs at the schools or something, or maybe this could be like what we talked about where kids were going to the fucking counselors and the counselors would turn them away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy that 23 years after Columbine that we're still talking about shit like this, that schools haven't implemented much of an idea to kind of combat this. As Ryan says, whether that be focal groups or whether that be, anything, like schools should be there. Like guidance counselors should reach out and say like, look, if there's ever anything that's ever happened or that you feel scared to tell anybody about, come tell us, please.
Right.
Like we are the first ear here.
Why can you get a gun into a school?
Right.
Why can you get a gun into a school?
Yeah.
Doors should be locked.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have to put metal detectors in schools, then fuck it.
I've always been for that.
I'd rather as a student feel that I've got to go through a metal detector and my life is safe.
Yeah.
Than deal with it.
I've always been for that.
Implement something for it, because it's sad that we have to do that or even worry about that. But if it means we're going to save kids' lives, fucking do it.
Yeah.
So can I do a spoiler alert?
Spoil it.
You watched the most recent episode of Dexter, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's what happens in that.
Terrible timing.
Yeah. I mean, it ties in pretty much hand in hand with what's going on with as far as bullying goes. There's
a shooting.
There was like in the episode, there was talks of a student doing that and stopped after having a meeting. Okay. So spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the show,
I won't remember in 5 minutes what you said.
Dexter's son befriends somebody who gets bullied, and he stands up for him. And he heard that this kid had dark thoughts of wanting to do bad things to these other kids, these students that have been bullying him for the last 8 years. So he steps in and basically injures the child, the friend, so he doesn't do it. Well, there's more to it than that. Anyway, they had like a focus group with all the students that were on the kids list.
Yeah.
And Dexter's son was there and kind of made a speech at the end because they were cheering him on. He's like, you know, he's just as much a victim in this as any of you. You know, he dealt with your bullying and making point and fun and beating up for the last 8 years.
Yeah.
You know, I feel bad I did what I did.
Yeah.
Because he didn't deserve to feel that way.
And believe me when I tell you, that's a hell to wake up to every single day, knowing that the same thing is going to happen that happened yesterday and the day before that. And there's nothing and no one you can go to about that. It's hell.
And you should be able to. That's the thing.
Exactly.
As
You
a kid,
should be able to
have
talk to somebody.
Someone you can go to.
Yep.
Parents, counselor, a friend. There needs to be more openly available.
I can understand there's a fear
Mm-hmm.
of more bad things happening worse than what I've been dealing with because I opened my mouth. You know?
Yeah.
You probably, I mean, if you would have said something, would you fear going to school the next day?
Well, I tried
that they
to.
know.
Yeah, that my thing was I tried to, like, I went to the school board. I went to my dad.
Right. You did say that.
I went to my dad, even though I knew that wasn't going to happen either. But like, I went to everybody I could, and I'd said, like, I want out. Like, I'm actually thinking about running away.
Yeah.
And you know, if this isn't solved soon, I'm probably going to.
I think we're too soft.
Mm-hmm.
I think it needs to be made a point that it's not going to be tolerated, and that the repercussion of you speaking out is not going to be tolerated.
Yeah.
And they figure it. Look, there's no reason that that we should allow it out of fear of, you know, like damaging of lives of these kids that are the ones implementing it, because they're ruining kids' lives. You know, as a bully, you really affect those people for their life. And if you have the outlet to go to your counselor and say, hey, this is happening, it needs to be taken seriously, and it needs to be addressed. And if they address it with those kids and then it continues to happen, or it doesn't stop, you figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
You transfer them out of school.
We start
You held the
kids.
parents accountable.
Yep.
You have to do something to make it a safe environment. To prevent stuff like this from happening. Like you said, it's been 20 some years since Columbine, and we're still dealing with this same problem.
Yep.
We haven't figured it out yet. It's not a gun problem. That's a whole nother topic. This is a people problem. People are being put in a position where they are abused or neglected or harmed, that this is the only way that they feel that they can resolve it, to feel safe, or to hurt the people that are hurting them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem.
And
we as a society need to figure out how we fix that by having more talks about mental health and being available to kids and all people that are dealing with that sort of thing.
I agree. And I like that take too. I feel like there's a lot of responsibility that, whether it's the school board or parents or whoever, that shuffle it off to other people. The parents say it's the school board's fault. The school board say it's the parents' fault. In the end, somebody needs to step over the boundaries and go, look, we're taking an initiative here. We're the school board. If the parents aren't going to take an initiative, we're going to take one for them. Like that's kind of the way it goes. And I wanted to offer a contrasting take to that too. Before Columbine, you think about all of the years of school on this planet, and like there was never a shooting anywhere in the country, at least anywhere that we know of, on a grand scale like there is now.
Right.
So you think about the kids that had to live with this torture, and there was no release for them. Maybe they killed themselves. That was their release. I think about that, and that just makes me almost break down thinking about that. You know,
I just can't imagine as a kid living through that fear.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, now going to school every day after that and wondering, you know, that could happen again. I saw an article where it was a text message that was shared from a student who was at the school, and texted her dad, like, we have a shooter here, like pretty much thinking she was going to die.
While it was
like a last, you know, goodbye text. I love you. Thanks for everything you've ever done for me type thing. And that's just horrifying.
Yeah. How terrifying for that parent, you know. I mean, that should be the wake-up call.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they gotta figure something out. And like you said, whether it's the parents or if the parents aren't accountable, the school board gets involved one way or another. You know, at this point, hold the parents to a level of accountability. If your child is inflicting abuse on another child and the parents aren't going to do something, then you know what? Hold the parents responsible.
Yep.
You know, there's got to be some. Throw the kid in juvie. Take bullying more seriously, and prevent this sort of thing from happening, because kids are just fucking dicks, man.
Yep.
You know, picking on kids and beating up kids and just being disruptive and destructive. We just shouldn't be tolerating that.
Yeah.
We're just fucking way too soft.
And a kid's not emotionally mature enough to deal with something like that in a way that they can overlook it or they can use it as motivation for something else.
No.
So like you're not internally developed yet fully for that. So that's why more 15 and 16-year-olds bring guns to school instead of goes, you know what, like as for you and I, we would go through something like that today and we go, fuck it and fuck you or whatever, you know, would walk away, something like that. So they have to take this into accounting that these kids are real fragile as it is to begin with. They haven't been through anything like this. And now they're thrust into a school where they're getting picked on and abused every day. It's, you know, it's often overlooked.
How do you expect a kid to be educationally successful when they're going to school every day within fear of, you know, someone's going to pick on them, or they got to worry about turning the corner and there being kids that are going to beat them up or something?
They don't care about school.
You can't fucking, you're the last thing you're worried about at that point.
Yeah.
You're robbing them of their childhood. You're robbing them of their education. And we need to just do better about the accountability of it. You know, all we ever hear about with this type of stuff is, oh, now that there's a shooting, it's going to be a gun problem. We don't talk about what was happening that caused this kid to go and do what they did.
Yeah.
You know,
Not enough. I mean, it gets brought up, but the focus is always on the guns.
Exactly. It's just
always on the guns.
It's there as a kind of an underwash, but it's just like, oh, that kid went and fucking killed a bunch of people. Terrible person. You know, throw him in jail for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And he needs to be held accountable for his actions by all means. But let's get to the core of the problem. And what are we going to do with
so we
it?
can prevent this from happening again?
School shootings don't happen. I mean, they don't happen often, thankfully. But when they do happen, you really need to look at the core of that school. What is going on in this school that a child here felt the need to come to school and shoot at their fellow students? Is there a breakdown with the administration? Is there bullying going on? Do we have counselors available? What are we offering? Not after the fact now. Okay, we're going to offer all these kids trauma relief because they had a fellow student come and shoot up their friends. And now we want to offer them help. What's going on beforehand?
Yeah.
Are we talking about it in the classroom?
As a school board member, that would make me feel like I failed some kid.
Absolutely,
you know?
man.
I desperately failed them, especially if they die, they take their own life or they take someone else's life. I feel like that's on my hands.
There, to me, I can't imagine you don't have an eye or an understanding. I find it hard to believe you don't see this stuff going on in your school. Someone there is seeing this going on.
Yeah.
You know, the bullying happening. It happens in the hallways. It happens in the classrooms. Who isn't stepping up and doing something?
I almost worry if, like, because of everything that comes down on teachers these days, if like teachers are afraid to get involved for fear, like if they grabbed a child or something like that they would get in trouble or they'd lose their job, and they go, you know what, it's better to just not even get involved.
I understand, but I mean, at least bringing it up, you know, it has to be addressed. I'm not saying that they get involved in the middle of a fight and then they are held accountable. Oh, you hit a child, or oh, that teacher hit me.
They definitely step away.
Yeah, when you see stuff happening, you still need to voice it out. You know, there's got to be someone there that they can call on that's allowed to intervene, whether it's the principal or vice principal, something. And if there's not, what do we do to figure that out?
Yeah. So
it's a big blind spot.
Fiance, she had a similar, like, she witnessed a fight in the stairwell. It's 3 versus 1. There's nobody around her. She wasn't stepping in to stop, to pull, to get hit, to hurt somebody, grab somebody the wrong way, cause damage, get sued, whatever. So she had a whistle with her, and she just blew that whistle as often, telling them to stop,
attention to it,
just to try to get people to come to, like, people who could handle pulling 3 boys off of another one. So
and my thing is now, what's going on? Like, what has happened since? That would be my question.
The follow-up
at this point is, okay, now that we caught this happening, what are we doing about it? What happened to the kids that were the ones doing it? What are they doing with the kid that was the victim of it? Are they talking with them? Are they finding out what was like? What is the next step at that point?
Right.
She did the right thing. She did the part that she could, got someone involved, made it be known. This is happening. Okay, now what do we do?
The follow-up's just
and
as
that's not on
important.
her.
Yeah,
that's on
Right.
the administration of the school. The
But
counselors,
that's what
the
I'm saying. Like,
what do you do next?
She didn't want to risk injury to anybody
Of
or
course.
getting herself hurt or hurting somebody else. So
And
she stepped back,
yeah,
yelled, and
she got help. She let people know what's happening. Now what's the next step?
right.
What are we doing with? What is the school doing with the parents? What are they doing with those kids?
I'm sure there's some out of school suspensions. I don't hear much of expulsions anymore. I mean, when I was in school,
suspension's a vacation for the kid.
Right.
Okay, I don't have to go
No.
to school for a week.
Your dog pees on the carpet and you gave him a treat.
see, and that's
Right.
the thing where it's hard to find a punishment that suits these kids.
Yeah, I would
You
say
know?
community service. Bust their ass.
I
out there and
agree.
fucking let
100
them-
Yeah, you're at a school for a week, and during that week, you're going to go here and you're going to do volunteer instead. You're not going to sit at home and play video games.
Absolutely.
You're out of school for a week. You're going to do something that is going to give back.
And if you don't attend, it's doubled.
Yep.
Now you're going back for
Make
sure.
them go.
Yep.
Put it on the parents if not.
Yep.
You know what? If your kids don't attend their community service for the week, there's a fine.
Mhm.
You can't let them go sit at home for a week and play video games or Netflix or do TikTok.
I agree.
You know, like that's where we need to make sure that we're holding them accountable.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's a lot of parents out there that just don't care.
Yep.
Can't be
And,
bothered.
and that's where it's hard to nail down a plan.
There's a lot of blind spots. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and it's tough it really has to be a group effort. And that's both on the school and the parent side.
Yeah, if the parents don't want to be involved, you know what we have for that? We have a social system. We have child protective services.
Yeah.
If your parent can't handle the situation appropriately to make sure that your student is a productive member of society and isn't harming other kids, then you need to get them involved. There's got to be a solution. The whole brush it off because we don't know what to do isn't going to work.
Oh, I wish you guys watched True Detective. Season 2 of that, Colin Farrell comes up on a kid that's bullying his kid. It's the greatest anti-bullying scene that I've ever seen in my life. Like he goes up to him and he goes, 8 years old. There's a bunch of shit he says. I'm not going to spoil it all, but the final line is he goes, 8 years old, my ass. Fuck you.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, dude. You might want to catch me bullying my kid if I had kids. It would not go over well. But it's just sad. You know, it's awful when you hear about these situations happening at schools with these young kids who are now going to be traumatized for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Because we have failed them. You know, ultimately we at some point have failed them. And I just hope we can figure out, we take the focus off of the weapon. You know, the weapon is just what was used to do it, but at the core, there's more to it. You know, someone had to have that gun and pull the trigger to commit these crimes. And
until you tackle problem A, problem B doesn't matter.
Exactly. 100%. So, oh boy.
Well, Alec Baldwin might have something to say about that.
This is very true. Tune into his interview on Thursday. find out more. I think that's all I had for Let's Get Social. Did you guys have anything else? Anything that's exciting? Any stories, news articles that I didn't bring up that you've read about or seen over the last week?
I think we covered everything.
Yeah. And I always feel like there's more, but it's always hard to figure out what things to talk about because so much of it just becomes redundant after so long. So, well, I think that's the show for you guys. Check out the YouTube. Lots of new vids.
This one will be up in 3 months.
Fuck you both.
Chris with the money shot.
Chris has got a treat for himself. Is that going to be on your OnlyFans? PPV, hit up Chris. $5. You can see the rest of that without the Phoenix Suns jersey on.
Yeah, that was nice.
And we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks for tuning in, y'all. That is Made to Motivate Podcast. Make sure you tune into the show every week. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube so you know when the new videos launch. And check out our pages individually if you can. We appreciate the support. At Jesse Young SI on Twitter. Chris, the Film Freak Kessinger. Check out the Film Freak Review page on Facebook. And I am Ryan Weiss. You can check out rockeverywhereinc.etsy.com to follow my art and apparel page. We appreciate the support. And, of course, at Made to Motivate Podcast on all social media sites. Thanks again, and we'll check you next week.